Alrighty. Are we live? I said, are we live? Are we live into his eye? Yes, we are.
Thank you, this beat makes some feel better. Yo, I ain't got no baby's mama, don't want the drama, don't want to have a brat with a hood rat. I want to love a woman I can be proud of. Yo, I'm around the woman, nice lady, yet I track the films that are shady, low down and clueless, ignorant, masculine, and useless. I understand the opposites attract, will always catch the ones that are dirty, fat, and black. Head never done, filthy press on nails, wrestling like a bum straight out of jail, oversized sweatshirts, tight jeans, use free slang like you know what I'm saying, you know what I mean. I assume these phrases emphasize the point while she raps about how actually she get high, or her journals on how many guys between her thighs, or attached.
Alright, now you messing up now, come on.
Released in a decade or two. Talking about child support from these zeros. One's got life, the other's on death row. Yo, I want a woman who thinks like me, who doesn't drink like me, who has no desire to get high. When things get rough, she will still lie, and if necessary, die with me.
Alright, we back. Now we want to go here.
Come along, the ones who come
and you
along
still did it.
Always wrong. And tell me,
and did it again.
Too damn picky, want someone low like me, quiet like me, someone who will stimulate my mind, a woman who's sexy and kind, who long for romantic strolls, no piercing, that knows no hair color, who's happy to spend quality hours sharing our dreams, being realistic and letting materialistic possessions become an obsession, but realizing that life is a variable aspect. Making wise decisions so that we have no regrets. Openly expressing our views, know how to love maker, producing afterglow. That everyone will know the power of our union. We'll be blessed like Holy Communion. Two bodies coming together, not counting the world in. Suspended by the act of sharing mutual orgasms. No need to fake, no need to take five. Passion is the potion for our locomotion. The fuel of our monogamy. Erasing the monotony of living in this mixed up world. Where are you? I'm waiting for you, girl. I want a woman who thinks like me, who doesn't drink like me, who has no desire to get high. When things get rough, she will still lie with me, cry with me, and if necessary, die with me. Yeah. Someone says they need one mic. Well, I need one night with the right female. Someone who makes all pale in comparison, not look, but the way they carry themselves, confident, but not stuck up like a Southern belle, or ignorant like a ghetto chick. They don't attract me at all, not even a little bit. The way you get cheesy, you dress, the way you get cheesy, is jeans. The girl in my jeans will be sexy, or classy. Have a lead like the mean and not crass and nasty. I know y'all in the back seat are laughing at me, but you feel what I'm saying. You get tired of laying up with anything as long as it's breathing, especially when you reach your goals. People around gets old, it's gonna happen when that child support starts sapping your pay, or another man is tapping your baby's booty, telling them what to do.
This may sound aloof, but I'm bringing the truth.
I want to marry the woman of my child.
Be damn at home while they're growing up, looking out for them when they're blowing up.
You always might think I'm dreaming, but I keep searching, scheming for a woman who won't desert me, hurt me when things go wrong. A woman that's spiritually strong. Y'all want a woman who thinks like me, who doesn't drink like me, has no desire to get high. When things get rough, she will still lie with me, cry with me, and if necessary, die with me. Yo, I'm searching for a woman who thinks like me, who doesn't drink like me, has no desire to get high. When things get rough, she will still lie with me, cry with me, and if necessary, die with me. This is Rodero, the one-man show. Once again, coming at you with something that I hope you can use in your life when you're making that right choice. Don't just go for looks. Don't just go for money. Think of somebody who you can honestly spend the rest of your life with, who you can see how to suit you with. Because that's how you be happy. I'm out. Rodero, the one-man show. Coming next with a sad tale. Yo, I don't understand my fellow man. We grew up in the same hood, going to the same schools, raised by the same rules and values. I mean, how did we line up so different? We were on the same page, the same stage, but then we shifted. We started hanging with another set. Those hardcore boys who was nothing but destroy, pillage, loot. Why did you follow that route? It's a dead end. Now I lost my only friend in the world. I remember we used to score dirty curls and waves. How we used to save ourselves from the bully that tried to rough us up. But we hung tough. I remember our dreams of making it big. How we used to wrestle in the mud like sweaty pigs. Up, those were the days. Remember how we used to go to church and pray, stay all day, help serve the congregation, listening to sermons on the devil's temptation. We were going to be gospel stars, but one day you got a car and you closed. I should have asked you how you felt you blowed up when we were poor growing up. I suppose, but I didn't want to stick my nose in your business. Hope I never find out who did this to you, because I make them join you in this casket. But what good is it do? You just have someone else doing it too, feeling the same pain of another brother lost to the drug game.
We will die together if we don't take it better. America, wake up!
Yo, why'd you have to do it? We had such high hopes. How many more times before we cope with this poison that we call dope? It's broken our unity, ruining our community, and we do nothing. Our children are dying. When will somebody do something? I'm speaking out, but what can I do? My grandpa used to bounce me on his knee, schooling me on Jim Crow and slavery. He said one bad apple falls the bunch to start a brawl. One man must throw the first punch. So I dedicate this song to my buddy. Remember, we used to study the word. We were straight nerds, but with talent. We used to serve up jocks on a platter, but you're gone now. What does that matter? It can't bring you back. Materialism is a trap. It doesn't bring security. If it did, you would still be with me. Not being buried 10 feet deep, another victim to these streets that many claim. Left you on, you left me all alone. I still got your number on my phone. I look back on the days we shared together. In my heart, you'll live forever.
To try together,
Or we will die together if we don't make it better. America, wake up!
Yeah. This is a true story, so before you open your mouth, be sure something intelligent comes out. I'm pissed off. I know the boss and lost because corn or some liquor. If you start slinging, you die quicker. That's a fact, so think twice. Is the money worth your life, your legacy? I'm trying to start a movement. Who is going with me? Who's willing to help? Stop thinking about yourself. Here's the score. Sooner or later, one of yours will drop. Stop depending on a cop. How many more babies will be born addicted to that rock? Fainting from the womb, heading for the tomb, and birth slogans like say no don't work. You can't hide this problem. It takes a whole community to solve it. We need more than drug treatment. That concentrated what makes people seek it. So there's got to be something wrong for someone to smoke one to a substance that is so strong to make people sell their bodies, their babies, turning our city into a living hell. Yo, we gotta do something about this drug problem, something about our youth. I know what it is, money and cars.
Alright, y'all, I need y'all
The age 30 in America.
to come keep me company.
You know what I'm saying?
I need y'all to come keep me company because we going to the pharmacy. And y'all know the pharmacy is in the hood. Y'all know that when we go across 25th and Hartford, anybody that ever been to Baltimore City, when you cross 25th and Hartford, you are going into the hood. Anybody that know, when you belay in Erdman, that's the other side of that park y'all see. That's the hood. Now, a lot of murders. That's why I'm glad the park separate us. But there's a lot of murders that committed over there. We going to North Avenue and Hartford Road. You got the Walgreens pharmacy, which is where we going on one side, and on the other side, you got the courthouse and social services. If you go a mile down the road, you got the jail. The big jail, not no little jail with Barney Fife, the big jail. So, like I said, Y'all know that I added the microphone stand. I put that behind the seat of the scooter for the 360-degree camera. We haven't been to the hood with that setup yet. But they gonna see that big blue and white camera sitting above my head. How you think the drug boys gonna feel about that? How you think the prostitutes gonna feel about that? How you think the people that we gonna see loitering in front of the businesses in the liquor stores, how are they gonna feel about that when they see me coming by with that big camera in their face? So, we going. We going to the hood. And there's no way they not gonna know that I got a camera. It's gonna be in their face. They gonna see the camera before they see me. So, hopefully we can get down there and get back with no problems. That's what I'm hoping. We can go down there and get back with no problems. Okay? That's what my intent is. Go down there, come back with no problems. So, let me get ready. And y'all enjoy Reggie. I'm sorry I gotta drown out his music. But he's not monetized, but we are. And they'll just take the video or might take the channel because of the music. So I gotta do it. Don't wanna do it, I gotta do it. Now if y'all want me to put on a sexy time or something, let me know.
America, wake up!
Yeah. Go down. Name up. You feel that? You wish that you could hit like me. I'm a composer, a musician, an old school MC. It's not over by Wild or Nelly. I don't identify with the hood or the belly of the beast. I don't date freaks, don't hang on the street corners, but I hurdle through tracks like Jackie Joyner. You want beats like Stevie, DJ freaks and tracks. Wondering how the third do that. My sound stays fast, straight disco. That deal with that. I don't listen to no one. Won't follow no one. Yeah, I still come with the flavor. You want some with the hard hitting, with splitting position, with condition. Drop a fellow artist, don't want you, but don't act with me. Don't lust with me. I have no equal, so take your pickle, to stay clear. You can't handle this here, but you can't smoke me with your rounds and abundance. I could be off. You got no something knowing dirt. Spell me, you're gonna need it short. You better get Geico, yeah. You wish you could hit like me, be as strong as me, last as long as me. Thugs spit this, girls blow kisses for candy, man, get with me. You're gonna, we moved a lot. Never stayed in one spot for a year. Never got a chance to put my edge of a street. Yet I still had the heat. But attitude, my thoughts will be understood throughout the whole last of the earth. This Broadway gave birth to a rebel. Speak softly, try to stay off me because you don't know how to deal with the flow of a brother who transmits like this. You can't be like me, give it up. 90% of hip hop sucks you out there, what you call a dip in your crew. You young suckers don't have a clue. Freestyling. To oppress your friends, making the flies, making the business, making a check, you're a sellout. You get no respect from a naturally gifted. Fuck me, sister.
It's 90 degrees here. It is 90 degrees here in Baltimore. So it's gonna be a hot trip. We are y'all know that I haven't been feeling well the past couple days, and there's a reason for it. I thought that I had enough prescriptions, so I didn't reorder them this month. Y'all know I get 90-day supplies. But I ran out a couple days ago, and I should have went down there and fulfilled it. But I had a budget, and I tried to make it without those medicines, and that's why I've been sick. The heat and the humidity ain't helping. But that's why I've been sick. So the money that Chung Lee has donated, I put 10 of it on the new Chimes account. which I found out that Google isn't going to pay. Google isn't going to pay me until the middle of next month. They only pay in the middle of the month, between the 15th and the 20th or something like that. So, thought that check was coming. It ain't coming. So, like I said, we're going to go get the meds today. The money that Chung Lee sent me, I have all of it. And some of the money that Taurus donated, I put it on the Chimes account, the new bank account. The card hasn't come yet. I'm hoping it's in the mailbox. If it comes in the mailbox, then I'll be able to get the $10 from Chung Lee that I put on the account and the $10 from Taurus Baby that I put on the account. So it's $20 in the Chimes account, the online banking that we set up to get the paycheck from Google that ain't coming until next month. I got burnt on that. But I'm hoping that the card's in the mailbox. If it is, we'll be able to go to the market. So I'll be able to use that $20 to go to the market with. If it's not there, then I'm going to have to try to figure out how to transfer the money back from the Chimes to the, oh man, the Cash App didn't work at the market. I didn't even think about that. Oh Lord. I changed the pin on it. It was the same pin. But for some reason, the card didn't work at the market. I hope it works at the pharmacy. We'll see. This is a mess. But we'll work it out. We'll work it out. But like I said, hopefully I don't need nobody help. But if somebody would like to donate, it would help. I had everything planned out. All the plans went down the hill. I thought I had enough. Of that 90-day supply, I thought I had enough to make it to the 3rd. And it ran out. I said, well, okay, it's only, 4 pills. We'll be all right. Nah, the way I've been feeling, and y'all ain't seen it. Nah, I need to get them pills. So that's more important than getting something to eat right now. Definitely more important. So I'm going to get that so that I can be here with y'all every day. I got to make sure I keep my health up. I said, hey, as he said, have a great trip listening. Naya said, REGG is a left laner. All right, y'all. Let's get back to the show.
Rocks will blow assist you before you can blink. I run to way around you because your style sleep like you can't beat your head out of your eight. And break this up the mosaic and make it better. You're a damn liar, flirt sweeter with Mariah Carey. I look like you stare at me. You glare at me, but you can't harm one hair on me. Yo, you wish you could hit like me. You're strong as me, that's as long as me. Don't spit business, girls will give me, but can't none of y'all get with me. Oh, you wish you could hit like me. Be as strong as me, that's as long as me. So I'm tired of hearing a song about the hood. One song you're trying to leave. The next song with this song got free talking in the middle of the neutral. I'm caught in the middle. You don't help the situation at all. You brag about being behind bars, then you whine about how hard it is. Then you're getting released and catch another bid if the money's that good. Why can't you retire or walk away? But do you choose to stay? Put down the dice, don't chase the ice. I'm taking names, I'm taking notes. When it comes to music, yo, I ain't no joke. I hate to break on my black foot, but this is the way I cope. I'm losing hook and people can be saved, but there's way too much fresh. People brainwashed or inept, so let them be. But the way you can hit like me, be as strong as me, as long as me. You wish you could hit like me, be as strong as me, that's as long as me. Don't spit business, girls for business, and can't none of y'all get with me. Real Darrow, the one-man show. And if you didn't know, then you know a little bit more. And like I always say, every day Got one for the system. When the man catches, don't start fixing. You don't want to listen, that's on you. I do what I want to do, you do what you want to do. You do what you so. Go there, one man show. If you don't like this, kiss it. Lick it. Yeah, this Rodero, the one man show. So now you know, and you feel the flow. The man with the plan, the man with the ill. Right now I'm about to get ill. Sit back and relax.
Alright.
Let it go.
Let it go now. None of you.
Don't fuck on me. You can scan, feel and
All on the show. I bet no one
rocks like
the big show. I'm broke, dead road.
Can't none of you punk out there.
Can't none of you.
You suck to me. Don't fuck
Cause y'all punks.
You can scan, feel and all on the show.
I bet no one
rocks like the big show. I'm broke, dead road. Can't none of you punk out there.
You dealing with the one man show.
Suck to me. Don't fuck on me.
Hey.
You can scan, feel and all on the
But I bet no one
rocks like the big show.
Hey.
What? None of you punk out there. With me.
None of you.
Ass up to me. Don't fuck on me. You can scan, feel and all on the show. I bet no one rocks like the big show.
Can't.
None of you punks out there act with me.
None of you.
You suck to me. You think you bust a sound like me. But there's no comparison to the
Something I'm harassing.
like
I'm dynamite.
like Jimmy Walk on this time you can't define my talent cause that's like you hot line.
Hit the 411
For the musician
who's second to none. The only one
who can't be beat.
so take a seat.
Who out there can't defeat me?
The human orchestra.
The one man show.
I shine summer cruise like mouth and glow.
I'm selfish, I hog the spotlight. My beats and lyrics are always try to excitement. I ignite. I fight like a fight. I drive a sedan all day, talking seeds all night. I'm not topical, but I'm more topical than any debate. Give a curve bit, breaking down anyone who doesn't step up. Cause the king of the underground sound.
I'm jumping bodies like John Gotti.
I'm the kid from uptown. Can't none of you come up there and act with me. You suck to me. Don't fuck on me. Can't none of you, man. So I bet no one rocks like a big show up off the boat. Can't none of you come out there and act with me. You suck with me. Don't fuck on me. You can scan the land and call on the show. I bet no one rocks like a big show up off. I'm broke, dead road. Can't none of you come out there and act with me. None of you suck to me. Don't fuck on me. You can scan the land and call on the show. I bet no one rocks like a big show up off. I'm broke, dead road. And none of you come out there and act with me. You suck to me. Don't fuck on me.
You can scan the land and call on the east shore. I bet no one rocks like a big show above some more.
Can you get enough of a young brother who smothers the bucket MC with the weak vocal?
You know sound tough. Yo, you sound local.
Bragging about your guns, learn to fight. Don't stop whining, no one cares. Pull up your pants and comb your hair. Then you might get a job, you starve. But now you want to keep swinging, so you keep bringing strength into your life. You won't pick up a book, my friend. So you some hard times, then when you get out, you want to run with your tails of being locked down, sorry clam. I'm here to scrimmage the image because being hard is doing right. They walking away from a fight. Go back to school, find a church. You won't be riding in the back of a hearse. By the way, how to corn on the liquor on the ground. Fuck your dead homies. Why not do this widow? She might be lonely. If you got a girl, why not commit? Instead of banging everything that strolls on the strip. Remember, loose hips. Sick shit, leave the hoes alone, leave the streets alone. Then think about picking up that microphone. Because you fuck, you know, you suck for me. Don't fuck on me. Let me laugh at you, man, and go on the show. I bet no one rocks like a big show of all.
I said none of ya.
And none of you punk out there act with me. You suck to me. Don't fuck
Cause
on
y'all
me.
punk.
You can scan me, man, and all on the show.
But I bet no one
rocks like
the big show. I'm broke, dead road.
And none of you punk out there act with me.
Can't none of you.
You suck to me. Don't fuck
Cause
on
y'all
me.
chump.
You can scan the Atlantic. All on the
But I bet no one
rocks like
the big show. I'm broke, dead road.
and none of you punks out there act with me. Y'all suckers out there. Don't fuck on me. You can scan the Atlantic. All on the
But I bet no one
rocks like a big show. I'm broke, dead road. And none of you punks out there act with me. It sucks to me. Don't fuck
Cause
on
y'all
me.
punk.
You can scan Hell on the Eastern Shore, I bet no one rock like a big show about some more.
Can't none of you.
Out there, that's what me. You stop,
You punk.
don't fuck on me.
What?
You can scan me land.
How long the
Eastern Shore, I bet
That's
no
the
one
one.
rock like a big show about
I'm broke, damn road.
Can none of you punks out there act with me?
None of you.
You stop, me. Don't fuck on me.
Punk.
You can scan the Atlantic.
How long the
Eastern Shore, I bet no one rock like
The big show. I'm broke, damn road.
And none of you punks out there act with me.
Can't none of you.
You suck to me. Don't fuck on me.
Punk.
You can scan the Atlantic.
How long the
Eastern Shore, I bet no one rock like
The
a
big show. I'm broke, damn road.
And none of you punks.
I've been there with a one man show.
You suck to me. He don't fuck on me.
The brother coming to my house.
Bet no one rock like a big show of power. And none of you punks out there act with me. You suck to me. Don't fuck on me. You can scan the Atlantic. Along the East
But I bet no
Shore,
one.
and rock like a big show of ball. Some more punks.
Yeah, this is Rodeo Road, so now you know. Here with a remix, yo, I ain't like the first version. So, I put a concert together. Don't follow the beat, follow the two melodies, or you can't follow the rhyme. The human beat machine, the human orchestra. You feel like you don't like me, then bite me. If you hate me, then debate me. Brother, take my mic, G. You gotta fight me. It's kind of funny what people do for money. Everybody's got a fight. Everyone wants to fight over pie. As a truth, act as a law and landers. Or die, go hand in hand. Let the visa take a stand. Bring on the best MCs in the land. You say I'm different, but I'm just like you. I grew up with you. Got in trouble like you. But I knew when to quit. I stayed legit while you hustled in the pit. I never got caught up in the thug like you see. The keyboard is my gun. My pen is my knife. See, I know the game. Never better cat the fame. Don't none of my hits sound the same. Sometimes it's frustrating because you suck and keep hating, but I keep creating. Ain't a damn thing that you can do. Bring your crew. I do them too. See, I'm a natural. I don't even think. I come up with facts at the blink of an eye. And I rhyme better than Dr. Seuss. Think you got the juice, then bring your loot, bring your truth. Here's a scoop. The starting report says you gotta keep coming up short. Hip hop's the game, but rap's the sport. You don't like me, then bite me. You don't like me, then bite me. You don't like me, then bite me. Yo, I'm no better than you or anyone else. I don't front an image, I just be myself. I get straight mad when I grab it like something comes over me. I'm ready to recite. I know my enemy's hoping that I slip. Lose my grip, that's why I keep a clip next to my hip for these wannabe ballers. They players, shade rhyme players who couldn't carry my jock strap. Can't none of you pick up my slash. I'm Rodero, the leader of a pack, the weapon king of the underground sound, the best around, and it's time to let the world know about the 4-out wonder, meet the one-man show. I like my woman steak with a medium complexion, big breast, a soft gut, and a big old butt. But I want the female that talks too much, drinks too much, go nuts. You can have them. Keep them, freak them, beat them, but don't come around me. I don't want to meet them. My father, they got nothing to offer to a group of impressive African descent. I know I'm arrogant. You think so? No, I'm just a fool who hates a-holes who put that foot in their mouth. Don't know what they're talking about. Wait, I'm off track. Have another track. Well, now you know about the one-man show. And if you did, now you know. Can you feel the flow? And if you don't like me, then bite me. You don't like me, then bite me. You don't like me, then bite me. Yo, I didn't just wake up one day and say I'm gonna rap. I'm facing that dark dropping tracks with no assistance. I'm facing major resistance. I don't look hard, don't sound hard. But I wouldn't out of scar in an instant. Like a squat, see my hit hard, strike hard, so swiftly that I retard those who I tend to approach the condescending brother who suffers like a roach on the coast. So what I say goes, I create my own flows. We can have it when you young grows. Put a medic on standby, someone's ego is going for the last ride. No mercy, they can't let no one slide. Either way, the girl still cooking. I heard her listen at the top booking at the talent show. Who's gonna help you now? Me. I'm gonna make you famous by shoving. I'll make up your anus. I tell you what, I want you to hear I'm in the rap. I sure no fear, but it goes one ear and out the other. I can't make you listen. So what you been missing? I can't make you conceive. You don't want to believe. I see really, you're buried, obituary, yeah. I'm coming. And you don't like me, then bite me. And if you hate me, then debate me. You don't like me, then bite me. Go down with a one-man show. And if you didn't know, you know a little more. I'm waiting to drop it up
now.
Make my own beat, make my own sound. I'm the best sometimes.
Come on with it now.
You know you wish you could ride like this.
Come on.
With no assist.
Hit it. Walk it down. Hit that walk
You
down.
might need to lyrics I spit, but you gotta admit. The beats I make hit.
Alright. Break it down. Here we go. Take it out.
Rodero, one-man show. The total package. The human orchestra. I kept it simple so you can follow along. Think you better than me, you're wrong. I'm out.
Rodero, the one-man show.
Rodero, the one-man show, so now you know. Yeah. Coming at y'all a little differently. But I'm coming with the facts. You know I got the knack. I'm telling it like it is. If you think you gonna come around me, that young stuff, son's gonna get knocked out. Somebody tell me, why am I different? Why can't I see what no one else can? Why do I feel the urge to lead and not follow? If I'm not advising others, why do I feel hollow? Why am I there to share my opinion with hooligans who could care less? If I was a digger, so why do I talk to help strangers? Somebody tell me why are my people so screwed up? Are they crazy? Are they lazy? Or y'all just plain nuts? Seriously though, when did a loser become hip? Why do we stand by and let the government strip away the rights and privileges our parents fought for? 40 years ago, my people had to deal with the Triple K and Jim Crow laws that said separate, unequal. Doesn't that sound strange? 40 years later, things haven't changed, but you naively front an attitude when stopped by a racist cop who only sees you as an outcast. The black man is that last on the scales of justice. The man says purpose and you abandon your fellow man. Don't you understand? He doesn't care about you until you move next door or speak. But there's poor of a daughter at the flip of a quarter. He will and can decide your fate. You're in America, son. You can't escape by getting high or getting drunk. Come on, black males. Y'all men are punk. It's time to wake up. I cannot see no one else. Can the black man need to take a stand? All I'm saying is, you know you doing wrong. The black you doing wrong, you take back. I just go back to church and find God and say, black man, start worrying about the man. Take this world. Somebody tell me why are women attracted to losers? Why are men attracted to sluts? Why is a man who handles his business foreign? Why is a female who works and comes straight home to her man taken for granted? What's up, my people? What's up? Why do you guys risk their life and freedom? The honeys who only want to spend the drug money. Why do these same honeys that children for these dealers who could be shot or locked up in any? Who's
Oh my God, what the hell was that?
What's up, black people? What's up?
What the hell is this?
Black women, stop selling yourself short. Stop playing up with men who use the sex as a sport. Stop trying to change the rebel and the hood. He may be great in bed, but he's no good as a mate. Say the man who respect, not molest you. So bad with me, I know I'm preaching, but I'm only teaching you what you already know. Cause when you meet a man, you should take it slow. Tell yourself like a lady, that man with that Mercedes or less.
The devil just, oh, the fan tipped over.
I love it. A poor man who loves you back is not selling. So be sad who only tells you lies. Black women, my sisters, wake up. We need to wake up.
All right, try to put on.
The black man needs to make up. Mama, just what can I see what no one else? And the black man needs to take a stand. I ain't trying to preach about what can I see what no one else. You lay up for years. You had a kid with him. If he don't take care of the first one, why you gonna have more with him? I'm tired of dealing with our heroes. Get up off your butt.
I had my socks drying on the fan.
It's better to have a little assured than to be
Where's the phone at?
You know what I'm saying? Takes up for church. I mean, really study the word. The dumb listener here won't have no effect on you. They won't phase you. Let me say the third verse. We're gonna pick on the women. It's time to talk to the black businessman.
All right, I know y'all heard that.
Black businessman. Can you show me how you got to attack? I'll drop my pride if you're meant to me like no one did for you. Or are you scared to say your secrets are a fit that I might excel and reach a higher level than you, sir? You're a role model for the community, but you
He knocked down everything. He's the webcam.
the suburbs, not giving any thought to the people you leave behind. Who you grew up with, you're better than those who can benefit, learn, but don't you turn and follow the man who treats you like a pet. As long as he has more things than you, he'll parade you around as a puppet on a string. There's a black man who made it. You'll save it. He'll tell you how you can get out together if you're excused until he gets tired or he gets fired or something's missing. He'll get the media fishing so they find a way to bring you down. Then you want to come back around the way, but you get no play in the hood. Now you're scared because no one cares if you live or die because you sold out for a piece of them high. Wake up, black businessman, black man in general, my black women, wake up. Why can't I see what no one else can? The black man is to make our plan. Why am I different? Why can't I see what no one else can? The black man is to take our stand. Bro, there, the woman show. No one else can. The black man is to make our coming at you real. I'm coming at you. Why can't I see what no one else can? I'm telling you, you don't want to hear it to take our stand. Too bad. Stop doing what you're doing. See what no one else can. The black man is to make our stand. You know better until we become accountable for ourselves. Stop rationalizing. You know what you're doing? My simple. It's simple. I come like shit. They can't make it from the can't do it. I'm a different way. Can I do it? The black man needs to take that stand.
All right, take it out now. Come on, take it out, Derek. Do as you did. Come on.
Wake up.
Come on.
Rodero. The one. Man. So now you know. I'm a different way. Can I see what no one else can? The black man needs to make our plan come together. Hand in hand, unite. We can win the fight.
We unite.
Yeah, this Bro Daryl, the one man show. So now you know. Can you feel a flow? The man with the plan, the man with the skill. Right now I'm about to get ill. Sit back and relax.
Let it go, Bro Daryl. Why that's only twice? Thank you.
Bro Daryl, the one man show.
He went all of that song.
I'm coming at you. And I'm bringing you something I hope you can use. I'm tired of all these radio revolutions.
All right, y'all. I had to put everything back. Everything got knocked down. Luckily, the show didn't cut off.
Well, they was adults, and they didn't handle that business. So, I think I should tell you what
I mean, it knocked down everything.
Yo, I'm cleaning up these streets. 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 Yeah, I'm taking it to you, running through you like diarrhea. Get the cups up. I'm feeling you like a kleptomaniac. I bring the facts and the truth. I got nothing to prove. I want to make you move, so get up. Take notice, take over for brain till I stay focused. Trying to think back our streets on the streets. Who on our neighborhood? It might be our kids, but no damn good. I'm taking the stand, I'm gonna want a man to be on block. I'm fixing the ball here and knock some sense into IU on with you. We have more obligation to ensure the safety of our nation. Let's start. One block at a time, grab a stick, grab a gun. Don't let no one warrior on your sleep. Videotape them, turn up the heat. Exercise the right, stand up and fight. Know I'm right. And yeah, like I said, I'm cleaning up these streets. I'm cleaning up these streets. Cleaning up these streets. I'm cleaning up these streets. Yo, I hear
no matter on my brother, you have me house. When I pick up the porch, then all the porch, give yourself a favor, you know your neighbor. Cause they have you back, you don't like that, so you all know with them. One of the women, you're not eating that, so they jump you 5 1. When the new spread set up, you have under your bed, go to your house, and stick back your face. You some get shot, you go to get raped. But no one cares, hey, you better use them, you can't see that's an attitude. The crime, that's gonna grow. That's why they show the fools on TV to make you afraid of your own security. These are our sons or our daughters. We used to beg for a quarter. Now, that's all we can talk about. But their hands on their mothers, he ain't doing nothing. Ain't no if you just start front, you don't fucking do information to how you improve your situation. We didn't care about our own street. Who cares about the man and the police? And like I said, yo, I'm cleaning up these streets. I'm drugs, yo. I'm cleaning up these streets. I'm cleaning up these streets. I'm cleaning up these streets. If you love my clock, I just in the middle there, I'm to the crackhead. How can you cope on that I took on a selling dope and work just using and abusing their body for some crack, selling their body for a smoke better than babies because you that tired, but you damn lazy. And keep them in check. You wonder why you get no respect. Why they rip you off and let you raise and salt and anything on they think out of your way. Don't want to go to school. And that's okay. Like you forgot when you were young. You had no care of having fun. Having fun all day. You jail after you slept. All you had was a pair of herpes. The generation has the HIV, the AID. But no one seems to care. No one share the resources on in which in their head that says, ha, the other from the fight for the already dead. For better cause of each other. And I'm getting good at that system you have. And the last thing you need, you see pass on your belief. And if you burn the first, it's a community machine. Like I said, yo. Yo, honestly, I'm cleaning up these streets.
No more drugs, yo.
I'm cleaning up these streets.
Taking out your thugs,
Yo, I'm cleaning up these streets.
You do this,
We all should be cleaning up these streets.
even the pimps and hoes.
I ain't gonna sit here in front, yo. You know what's going on outside your door. Go over there and take a look. You know what you're doing when you think they're doing something else. That's all I'm saying. It's our problem. It ain't the man's problem. It ain't the man's problem. It's our problem. I chose to come in on this dumb stuff. I chose to keep out. I'm just take responsibility. Yeah, this so damn so man, you know. Coming at you with real shit. Real bad. Yo, I'm from the little town of Baltimore. Don't venture through here unless you're ready for war. In the city, you gotta watch your back. Cause brothers get cat. But flapping their yak, touching ass feel late. So don't flex like Goldberg. Or you'll be next Negroes will stuff out your life. Because of the way you talk, the way you walk. Look at it wrong and you'll be outlining chalk. Home on the sidewalk. Demorians ain't playing. So bring it. Roll on through. You will get hurt without warning. If you're not down, we be swarming like killer bees. Looking to touch you outside and take him down. You just stand to the ground. Don't make a sound. Or get bound and gag. Dragged up and down the street. Here, not even the baggies that sweet. Our jails are full because we take no bull. Rat-a-tat-tat, some sucker just got whacked, jack cat. Because the fool was a strap. That's every day around this way. One hand on 40, the other grip the trigger, so don't challenge the world grave niggas till them when dishes get rich. A voice will figure this to hide a cold body. Before is known for us hottie. High price hoes up, who's the blow? So go with the flow. Act like you know. Yo, the spot stays hot, so this is all we got. The streets we run. The cops don't come, they don't care. Our elders are scared. Our moms are blade. My dad's a tech. We show no respect. Not even the army can protect you in this little town called Baltimore. It's a city where the bullets spray. Load the clip before you go off the door. Into the war zone. The streets of Baltimore. This ain't the city to read. It's the city to bleed. This ain't the city to read. It's the city to bleed. New York played out. LA went gay. Be more in the city where the bullets spray. Load the clip before you go off the door. Enter the war zone. The streets of Baltimore. So look at the city to read. It's the city to bleed. This ain't the city to read. It's the city to bleed. Don't come to Baltimore talking trash. You just get a foot in your AF. Assuming it don't get cut in your chest or your gut. You will be flipping straight nuts up, so won't come on as a law. Don't get caught in the park. We circle roll with no heart like a shark. We be looking, waiting, celebrating. Facing the crap, moving The papa hot one, the cat throwing thunder, real thugs out, hood ain't picky. High as hell and violent, a real thug stay silent, and when the attack is posed like a time bomb. So before you approach, remember we only got one life to give, one life to live. You wanna keep it? Then don't go creeping, ain't nothing out here but trouble. So take a double take, or break over codes by the soul taking, bold breaking, headline making rolls. Why you wanna know about those who terrorize this town? We be holding it down. You gotta go up around this. Don't be found on the back, that's what make your eye contact. Your roll never roll so low. You'll be lifted on your wallet to watch. Speed more stays high, drops go by. Wannabes drop to the pavement. Brothers got graveyards in the basement.
It's the city that reads. It's the city that bleeds.
Yo, you gonna play it out? LA one gate. Before in the city where the bullets spray. Order before you go out the door into the war zone. The streets are about to more.
That's why they say roll never roll so low.
City that bleeds. Yeah.
Roll never roll so low.
All my life.
Right.
The women are fast.
Right.
The brothers are tight.
Right.
Ain't the city that bleeds.
It's the
city that bleeds.
The
city that bleeds. Bullets and shellcations. Brothers station triple light. Completely cruise on ice, piece of roses, stuff out the boys and bleed. That's how we do. I can't forget those on that road, waiting for that showdown.
30 seconds and it's over.
You can't hold your breath.
The gas fills your chest.
I know brothers that get in the rush and thinking about
only the one Jackson
get over final. I'll be satisfied about
beaming to the sky.
Brothers be stacking.
What?
Brothers be stacking. Think we acting.
We'll bring your crew. So we can do what we do.
The corners, tagging your toes. You thought you was G.I. Joe.
With your reflexes.
With G.I. Joe.
You got a quick burst. You get to ride the hearse.
So you'll be coming with this. But it worth it. Don't mess with the cement city that shows no pity. You want to rumble? This is the concrete jungle. The bottomless pit around here. Your life ain't worth
It's the city that bleeds. It's the city that bleeds. Yo.
It's the city that reads. It's the city that bleeds.
New York played out. LA one gate.
New York is the city.
Where the bullets break.
Load the clip. Into the war zone. The ragged end.
A walk for more.
It's the city that bleeds. It's the city that bleeds. Yeah. The city that bleeds. It's the city that bleeds. We don't play here.
Oh, I did. Oops. All right. Sam said I'm on a motorcycle. I wish I was. No, we can be going live in probably about half an hour. Half an hour, we can be out. They're just getting y'all ready. Okay, wait a minute. Now I said I butchered his name in the chat. Hold on. Did I spell it wrong? Wait a minute. In the description box, I got his name wrong. Oh, I did spell it wrong. Alright, hold on a sec. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna take a picture and then I'll retype it. With the Holy Father, sometimes I wonder, is it worth the bother? Incognito. INKAGNEDO. My resource. I've been rapping for war.
But it's okay, the devil can play his mind game, but he can't hurt me right now. That's me. He drives in his rap, me physically, financially, but these things don't mean jack to me. I turn my back to me, it's not easy. It's in, man, niggas could be greedy. So I always want what we can't have. A material giving up into me, hey, don't make me laugh. A feeling for a man with a difference, it's all show.
If both of these will take me where I got to go.
But if I cheat on still, now I lose about section. For a house, for election, to be under the direction of a sick demon. Go into own my soul, no thanks. I roll with the Lord who is in control.
Hey!
Every day I dance before the Lord, so I say niggas he's like an extension cord. I welcome all the stripes as long as my name is in the book of life. Let my light shine, let it broadcast worldwide. I let Jesus be my God, and if he let me live another day, I continue to come to the people and say, stop being selfish, stop saying, come to God, start winning. Minister brother down. Let's get it.
Zero, the one man show. And if you didn't know, you really won't know now, because I'm about to put it down. A brother I like no other. Y'all don't hate, appreciate. It's my way, you all have to dominate. Cause I bring the truth, I stick to my roots. I ain't trying to sound hard. I know the things I say are backed by God. So, get conscious. Yeah.
Hold on, y'all. He's spinning.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, you knowledge, you get cerebral brain. Don't know what that means. But that's a damn shame. I'll bring you a fact to put you back on.
There we go.
You been the real brainwashed. Go to jail.
No, we're doing it again.
Stop looking, listen before you start this. You wishing you could sound like me. Your freestyle can't drown me. I got something to say, don't like it, but that's okay. It's not for you, then. I'll pour you stuff to me and I'll floor you. I speak clearly. I want you to care how you doing, what's going on. I don't care. Just being polite, God, the rest of the beat. I don't think it's tight. You don't give it. I'm a reasonable wizard. Believe you something shit. I don't know why you gonna earn the challenge you borrow with natural talent and abundance. Why do you go expansion opportunity to the community? Instead you broken my unity, singing that crap. You got to try to rap, brag about your escapades. Take your ass to church and go get saved. Not by rebel, you have to take the hell in the hand basket. I just go a casket. Who will really get casket? Not many. They're either in a cellar in their own grave. It's not my fault this camp ahead. Europeans are just savages. You're proving them right from the police blotter. Every night, you traded in one chain to another. Disappointing your mother, selling death to your brother. Yo, I'm feeding you all of a sudden through the brain. Don't know what that means. Now that's a damn shame. I'm bringing you back to put you on track. Yeah, you been the real brainwashed drug or jail. I do what I want to do. I still will be the beast that I face in heaven is already there. Working on my legacy here. I stand alone without fear. I can't condone what's on. My people are doing wrong and I'm reaching through this microphone. Y'all been cynical, I'm here to minister, you need my music. My talent is God-given, I'm using to make a difference. This is how I give back. I don't need to spend dirty money to feel like a man. Or knock on a cheap woman, just to prove I can. I don't need a fancy car. I don't need to be singing in the bar or the club. I don't need you sucker to show me love. I don't want to have no race, I'm trying to wake up this nation. So I'm going to rap in the pen, mind in the store. A strong black nation is the only word I'm looking for. Don't agree, don't never do it. You ask the first prospect into the new mind to awaken. I stay real while you all mistaken. This shit care on babies you taking. I mean, you know, I'm a dream, Steve, my and brain. Don't know what that means. So that's a damn shame. I'm bringing you back on track. When you been derailed, brainwashed, drugs, or jail. I've been a deep and poetic mind without a speech. Forget your niggas hand. I'm talking about including the black man. My fellow black people on crack, big up. If you rough, yo, toughen up. Otherwise, your brothers don't get enough props. Overshadowed by those go to jail will get shot. Using cities take over our cities. All we can band together and move something forever. It's a lot more of us than there are of them. It's time for Isaac's son to school shit. Don't get it. See, that's my point. Pick up that Bible and put down that joint. Cause I'm feeding you knowledge throughout the cerebral brain.
Don't know what that means.
Oh, that's a damn shame. I'm bringing you the facts to put you back on track. You been the real brain rock. Yo, I'm feeding you down throughout the cerebral brain.
Don't know what that means. That's a damn shame.
I'm feeding you down to the cerebral brain. Don't know what that means, so that's a damn shame. Rodero, the one-man show. I keep rocking, yeah. Keep bringing the same message, just a little differently each time. Hey man, what that you going to do right? What is this? One man show? That's the one man show? Well, I don't know what you mean, but that's all I'm knowing. You better be good. Yeah. I'm coming after, running after. A new sound, a new high, don't act wild. I like to hit you with beats that bounce. I count suckers, that's how I do, how I bring it. You got static, swing it. I'm don't bounce around and wind up done.
Really is sweeter than cinnamon buns. Brother be front. It's no help because your style still stinks.
Y'all getting there, props, flash, mad, knots of cash.
My skills flash.
All over you like a rash.
I'm never at a loss for words.
A bedroom door reads, do not disturb. Never took a drink, never smoked a blunt, never went hungry, always had enough. Though sometimes the lights cut out, never for more than one day.
Hey.
I was gambling, hey, I lost all my pay. That's why I don't front, I never waited for the first of the month. I work, but I don't work hard. I feel only one man, and that's God.
G.O.D.
Don't stop bitching, this ain't about religion. I'm switching, yo. This verse I'm ditching.
Yo.
I wish I could drive from the back seat. Because these front speakers are cheap, they're too damn weak.
A brother like that.
Says drop dead.
A brother like that.
Go inside your head.
A brother like that.
Says grow up.
A brother like that.
Says your style sucks. A brother like that.
Hey, I got something to say.
A brother like that will go inside your head.
Hey, I got something to say. How you like me now? I'm the best pound for pound.
Hey, I got something to say. Yo.
Hey.
Look at you let your children play up the street.
With the crack vials and the needles up under their feet.
Yes, the inner city is unique. I play style like you forget, so I get what I need. And then jet, cause there ain't nothing down there for me. That John Hopkins, the guinea pig factory, is my people. And laboratory.
Forget that.
But I'm a student. I like to howl at the ladies on the strip on their way to work with a short skirts. I'll stop and flirt, cause looking don't hurt. Touching, hugging, shoving, how you like you in trouble. I wish I could live in a bubble. Just me and my lady. Everything will be kosher, gravy, but no man is an idol. Cash on stockpiling. You can have your beef, KNY, and wear yours, or polio. But dark's about Wall Street or polio, see? I want to retire young.
And around to in Salisbury.
Now I crack row house
on Cokesbury.
That's just me. I ain't putting no
one or nothing down. They don't flex, don't frown.
I'm not bound by the street code.
Hey.
I just want the good life, not the thug life.
You know why?
Brother like dark says drop dead. A bump like dark will go upside your head. A bump like dark says grow up. A bump like dark says your style sucks. A bump like dark says drop dead. A bump like dark will go upside your head. A bump like dark says grow up.
Hey.
A bump like dark says you suck like food like Casca.
But I'm not a friendly host.
I don't like the boast. One day my beats will rock. From coast to coast, there'll be a felony.
If you sample my melodies,
you can't hide from my offset. Don't bring that door back. Send to the slide. Computerized brand.
Around me.
I'm that sweet the magician. A great one. The best pound for pound. I want a raid on black
with a gold trim.
No Hellcat for custom made rim. With two silk whoppers. Chain to a luggage rack. So you sucker can't jack me for my bass tooth while I snooze.
I get around like Tupac. I'm the American badass ass Kid Rock, the real heavy day. Forget Bismarcky.
I'm the human orchestra, I don't need no props. I'm composing hits and I won't stop, I can't stop.
Cause I'm invincible. I stick to my principles. I follow no one. I'm the
trendsetter, dominator, breaker. This is my sport.
This is my sport.
You can't hang with me, you can't bang with me on these boards. I dump tracks like Shaq.
I'll put you on your back, black. A brother like Dark says,
drop dead.
a brother like Dark
will go inside your head.
A brother like Dark
says grow up.
A brother like Dark
says you stop up. A brother like Dark says drop dead. A brother like Dark will go inside your head. A brother like Dark says grow up. A brother like Dark says you stop up. Ha, when you gonna attack, son? Cause I put you on your back. I'm brother like that like this. I kick out beats with no assist. It makes no use. Not even think you start blinking. How you like
come on then.
I go to the grave with tracks that never been heard. Some say I'm mentally stirred,
but no, I'm butter. How you like me now?
I use nouns and verbs and I stay alert.
Freestyle.
You only get hurt. Cause I really don't care. I answer to no one. I let you say or not.
Myself. See, that's good for my health.
Can't nobody take what I make. It's like
rocking with no assist.
Rocking with no zero.
Brother like that.
Says drop dead.
A brother like that.
We're going inside your head.
A brother like that.
Says drop up.
A brother like that says, come on.
A brother like that says drop dead. A brother like that will go inside your head. Before I forget.
Real Darrow, the one-man show, baby.
I pick up a paper and I read the obituary about you first. And if you ride,
right, come on with it. Come on.
You this is a whole lot better than it is because you got to speak like that. I'm out. Drive from the back seat. The front speakers are too damn weak. Cause I can drive from the front seat. The front speakers are just too damn weak.
Look at what I do with a $200 keyboard.
Above like dark will go inside your head. Above like dark
with no assist.
Above like dark says your style.
Don't need no beat. Yeah, I be getting down. Y'all say what y'all want to say. Come on with it now.
Sing it, guys. Yo, don't sing it. Just bring it. Don't sing it. Just bring it. Give me all you got. Take your best shot at your styles. I don't say it's not. You say you're coming through. Who you coming to see? Winnie the Pooh, Yogi the Bear, Boo Boo. With those nursery rhymes about the fictional crimes that get held from the hood. They work on something, but you're dealing with someone.
By that inner city mess.
So I ain't trying to make it better. I know you ain't talking about the fuck life forever. So come on down to my heart of town. Don't sing it, yo. Just bring it. Don't sing it, yo. Just bring it. Don't be in that. Don't let your mouth right and check your ass.
Hold on, y'all. Now you got a link for us.
You better be on guard. I'm gonna smack down on you clowns. Yeah. I stand alone, so I'm on my own. Nobody touches my microphone. I'm the last of these ceremonies. No trumps allowed. That only Super Baloney, that Oscar Mayer. Cause ignorance is judge beauty. It's my duty to point this out. They got a problem, single me out. Rock and roll like a pack of killer bees singing and stunning. You saw them see with a raw round, but I keep hitting you from the front and back side to side, so you can't hop or you can't slide. Get your up with an MC job or manual. I see everyone look over my opponent's psyche.
If you don't like me, then ask me politely to fight thee. But don't sing it, yo. Just bring it.
Don't sing it, yo. Just bring it. Don't be in the don't let your smoke ready. Check your acres to can't cash. You think you're hard, you better be on guard. I'm putting a smack down on you clowns.
Don't sing it, yo.
Don't sing it, yo.
Just bring it.
Do I hear you sign? But am I lying? You whine, you bitch, but you're the one buying that bullshit. Though it is hitting home, every one of you buys the phone, the platinum, the gold. But next year the stuff is old, so you get it all over again. Say to son, you can't win, no matter how much stuff you accumulate. The man switches it up to generate more profit. Tell you the same junk with the variation, you gobble it up. Go figure how to platinum improve a gun's
It doesn't.
See, that's my point. Moving to a new subject. I got a plan, but I need a hand for my brother. So what can we support each other? And
form a united front so we can whip our resources together to make our neighborhoods better. Create jobs so we don't have to wrong one another. Offer help to those who need. Our problems are hard, but we can beat it, yo. We need a leader like Martin Luther or Malcolm X who don't use drugs and health sex with interns who want our people wherever learn. I pick up the Hickman parades and return on the page.
War, I'm ready to rage. Don't sing it, yo. Just bring it.
Don't sing it, yo. Just bring it.
Don't be inept. Don't let your mouth ready to check that your ass can't cash. You think you're hard, you better be on guard. Cause I'm putting down a smack down. I'm putting down a smack down on you clowns.
Like I always say. Don't sing it, yo. Just bring it. The paper. I mean the capers.
Don't be inept. Let your mouth ready to check that your ass can't cash. You think you're hard, you better be on guard. Cause I'm putting down the smack down. I'm putting down a smack down on you clowns. Don't sing it, yo. Don't sing it, yo. Don't sing it, yo. Don't bring it, yo.
Just bring it, yo.
Come on.
You wish.
Come on, come on, come on. Bring it back now.
There ain't no one like me.
All right, y'all, the linger from Naya. I be getting down. Y'all say what y'all want to say. I be getting down. I make that $200 keyboard sound like it's a daggone $10,000 something.
Hey, Dorshow with HurricaneTrack.com. We're here in Lake Charles. There's a pretty large fire there where the oil refineries are. I don't know for sure if it is the oil refinery or if it's another structure, but it has been continuing to grow in size throughout the morning. If you also look at the bridge, you see the bars from the IP casino that dislodged and ended there.
That's it. That was it. Well, go back. Because he's sitting right here. Let me see. All right, what's going on? What's going on here? They showing anything? A commercial. It's getting hotter and hotter. So, is it more than one? No, the tropical storm Laura. Sustained 65 mile per hour winds, gusts at 90 miles per hour. But, all right, so, wait a minute. What's today? Friday, right? No, it's Thursday. I thought it was Friday. So it's 45 miles per hour in Little Rock, Arkansas. Friday, they saying it's going to drop to 35, and then it's going to be in Louisville. I guess that's Kentucky. Is that Louisville, Kentucky? I guess it'll be there. But you know, not really helpful. There's people in that chat. This one of the other people here. Are you serious? Whoa.
This is Greg Norshow with HurricaneTrack.com. We're here in Lake Charles.
Oh, we already heard you, man. Anybody else? I think this is old, though.
So, you know, this is probably the last time we're going to be down here, but it's always a challenge in the night to try to show you what this storm is doing. So, take a look at where I am, and now we can ask the steward to sort of pan the camera off into the parking lot here. And that's where you really get a sense of the volume of water and the amount of wind load that is blasting across the landscape here. And again, we are in a sheltered area.
Why am I getting
So we're not
hotter?
getting the full blast of this storm, but the eye wall's really close to us now. You can tell that. You can hear a lot of things banging around in the darkness, and we've had the power go off and on. They say it never goes out here. We'll see. Tonight is really going to be a test, but you know, this storm is clearly roaring, and you're reaching that critical moment here. For anybody who is hunkered inside their home, you have a dual worry here. That's of course the wind, but it's the storm surge. That's the other one you've got to worry about, plus the tremendous volume of rain that's now falling down. You know, we have slight damage on the property here, but in the exposed areas, especially right down at the coast, they would be getting hammered by all of this. And it's going to continue for some time now. But the blast,
It's 92 degrees.
It's hard to stay standing. And it's definitely a lot of wind and rain that is coming down. And it's going to continue like this for the next hour to two here. In fact, I think I'm going to get out of it and send it back to the two of you.
I gotta say, Martin, as you keep walking, we'll keep a shot up as we talk about this, Chris. We've both been in these situations, and you know right now, once it starts to make landfall, this is just the beginning. And it's something that you have never heard, I've never heard, and I'm sure Martin Savage and our meteorologists who we're going to get to have never heard. Unsurvivable storm surges.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were trying to encourage evacuation. And look, you know, growing up there, you know, it's, you know, people when they're not in that lifestyle, they're like, why would you not leave? People are afraid they won't be able to get back. People don't have places to go. They don't have money. They can't take their pets. And now you got COVID. People are afraid of it. And, you know, the vice president tonight said, we're in a time of testing. Yeah, but we don't have the tests during this time of testing. We don't have the rapid tests so that people like your family down in Baton Rouge can have the confidence that they'd be able to get quick feedback about where they're going and if they're
Or to go to a shelter. Who wants to go to a shelter when you may become exposed to a deadly virus?
So the idea that the pandemic is over, no, it's actually affecting people's choices in real time. But we got to say, you know, Martin Savage has preternatural calm in that situation. This shot from his photographer that they're working with, this is the perfect shot. Look at the wind through the light. And that is what is going to change the surrounding there, even in somewhat of a sheltered area. Don't let his calm belie a sense of calm in the situation. You know, it takes a real seasoned pro to be that calm in that kind of situation. And that shot really shows, even on the outer bounds of a storm, does not mean you're out of trouble. And often the duration is longer on the outer bands.
Hey, real quick before we get to Tom Sater, I know that Martin is there because I hear him talking. Martin, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I can.
So, even in just a couple of minutes that we've had you on the air here, have you noticed the winds pick up in just that small amount of time?
Oh yeah, no, it's. I mean, with every gust that you get, you can tell that it's much more violent. You can actually sense it. I mean, you and you guys know all of this. You've been out here, but you feel the pressure, which is the indication that a big blow is coming. So it's sort of the whole body senses this storm. And then comes a huge blast, and then you see the trees bend and snap, and then the body, just to watch that water go by the lights. That's why we had to come up here. Most of the area around us is black, so it's clear you've been watching transformers blow, and you've been watching sort of the electrical grid around us begin to dissolve, hopefully just temporarily. But it has stayed on here, and that's what gives you this tremendous view. Otherwise, you would be in the dark, and that's what's terrifying about these storms. If you can't see it, and all you can do is hear it, your mind goes to its darkest and worst places. And the visual isn't too far from that either. This is why you need to leave. Of course, you can't now, but it's a stunning thing to watch.
Hey, Martin, I want you to stand by. Chris, as we keep Martin and this shot up, what do you say we bring our meteorologist in?
Tom Sater, he's in the Weather Center. Give us the latest on what's happening, but also, Tom, give us a little nod, please, about the speed of this, 15 miles an hour, and what that means, and in terms of how broad this storm is, so that the outer band devastation as well.
Okay, no, those are great questions. We had official landfall 2 a.m. Eastern time. It's 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time, right over the town of Cameron. Most likely, Cameron's elevation, we were figuring out, it's probably like 5 to 10 feet at the most. It's underwater. There is no doubt about it. When you see the eye center become so symmetrical and clear, it's a pure signature that it's a violent storm. This now joins an elite group. It's in the top 10, a small elite group of the most dangerous hurricanes to ever make landfall into the U.S. Top 10. Our records go back to 1851. That is staggering. We now have that landfall. Look on radar here. A couple of things to point out. Tornado watch is in effect until 8 in the morning. We had a few bands already moving into the area well in advance of the eye, knocking out power and camera. There will be more of that, and they'll see if there's any warnings going on right now. If you're getting close, look at this. There's a tornado warning for that entire band. They're moving so fast, they're not going to put these for the individual cells. So again, that's a concern. Remember, Isaias just 3 weeks ago, we had over 20 tornadoes, and it took a few lives. But when you're talking about the eye wall now, these eye walls are several miles wide. We estimate that with Laura here, it's probably about 10 to 15 miles. And if you look at the eye wall, where it's moving in, take a look at Lake Charles. It is moving to the north-northwest. You get in a little bit closer, and what we're going to see here is one of two things. This could be staggering here. If it continues that north-northwest movement, it looks like now that Lake Charles could get in the eye. There's an outside chance that that could happen. But there's also a chance that Lake Charles could stay in that eastern flank eye wall for 4.5 to 5 hours. That's devastating. Now, earlier when you were talking with Derek Van Dam, this is something interesting to point out. This box you see here, an extreme wind warning, it's been issued before, but it's a fairly new product from the National Hurricane Center. It's not used for tornadoes. It's not used for severe thunderstorms. Only for approaching eye walls in hurricanes. This area means you will have sustained winds at least 115 miles per hour. So you look at it like a tornado warning. You get into the part of your home, the best shelter, in the basement, what have you. But already we're seeing winds that are well over 100 miles per hour. If you look at the warnings now in red, look how far inland they go, the hurricane warnings. 4.5 million people in the hurricane warnings. In blue are tropical storm warnings. That's another 18 million. Don, you were asking about your family earlier in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge is 130 miles from the center, and it's just outside of that tropical storm warning. So good news for them. There will be some wind gusts, and they're going to get the rain, but they're not going to see the severity of this. These winds, at least 110. Right now we're seeing gusts inside the center of 185. I mean, this is going to destroy not just homes and businesses, churches, hospitals, schools, but then the winds shift to the other direction. Down trees, power lines, massive power outages, I think, by morning. And then you toss in, of course, the surge, and that's always a big deal. I remember, Chris, when you were with Irma, were you in Naples? Is that where you were when the upwelling of the water came up?
Yeah. And luckily, you told me to get out of it.
That's happening here.
When the first time it moved, I was like, well, it's gone now. You said, not for long. Time for you to move.
Right.
And we moved, and there were feet of water there with Ed Lavandera and I inside of minutes.
Yeah, this is going to drop at least 8, 10, 12 inches of rain coming down. The big problem really is the surge. I mean, you've got a 20-foot surge right now. Can you imagine that? It's the top of the second-story building, but it's the force that's carrying it inward 30 miles. In 1913, we had, of course, in the Kagashu River, all the way
carrying it in 30 miles?
Storm surge miles. Not all 20 foot, but the surge of the water will go inland.
Wow.
But in 1913, in Lake Charles, the water level got up to 13 feet. It submerged over half of Lake Charles. Tomorrow morning, they're looking at a water level at 16.7, or 15.6, that is. 15, I mean, that's amazing. And then so you got the tornado warnings, you got the surge, you got the heavy rainfall, and the winds doing enough damage. Here's a good indication of your surge. So you see where Cameron is, all the way up to I-10. So there are computer models we're looking at in Lake Charles that are telling us by tomorrow morning, some of the communities and suburbs around Lake Charles will see over 8 and 9 feet of water in their homes. I'm telling you, we're looking at a situation where we're going to remember pictures of Mexico Beach when Michael moved through. Homes are off their foundations. We're going to see pictures like Katrina, where people are on their roofs, or even with Harvey, boat after boat of families being rescued tomorrow. I mean, this is going to be devastating, and all we can do is sit back and watch.
Yeah.
There's nothing more that can be done.
Tom, I want you to stand by because we've.
All right. Do they have? Let me mute this. Give us a commercial. Huh?
At some of the storm that's happening right now. This is obviously Hurricane Laura, and here's the aftermath. This is in Texas. This is Crystal Beach, Texas. You can see streets are flooded. Obviously, cars are floating in streets. Storm surge was the biggest concern before Laura hit, and now we are seeing why people were so concerned. There's mass flooding, even in Texas. And by the way, it made landfall in Cameron, Louisiana. So not even Texas, but you can just see all of the bands and the aftermath, even as far away as Crystal Beach. So joining us now is Governor Greg Abbott of Texas. Governor, thank you so much for being here. We know it's a busy morning for you, so give us a status report of how Eastern Texas is doing, how many people had to be evacuated, any deaths, anything like that.
Listen, the good news right now is the early reports are that there were no deaths, and one reason for that is because people did heed the warnings to evacuate. You mentioned the storm surge, and the storm surge and the powerful winds could have led to catastrophic deaths. And because we had well over 5, maybe 10,000 people who evacuated, we no doubt saved lives because of those evacuations. Right now, we have search and rescue teams that are already going throughout the entire area to see if there is anybody who does need some type of assistance. The level of water that you're talking about, especially in the Beaumont, Port Arthur, and Orange areas that were the closest to the Louisiana border that could have faced the hardest brunt of the storm. We're very concerned there. But also, if you go further up in Texas, in northeast Texas, the hurricane is still going through that process. I think it may still be a Category 2 hurricane. And so there's powerful winds knocking down very tall trees in East Texas, as well as potential tornado activity. So people in northeast Texas still need to remain very vigilant right now.
I don't know if you can see a screen, if you have access to it, but we're looking at aerial pictures of Crystal Beach, Texas, and it's flooded. I mean, just, tons of water all around cars and homes. Any sense of when emergency workers are going to be able to check if anybody's trapped there?
So those emergency workers are on the ground and operating as we speak right now. And they're going through all of those areas, making assessments about what that flooding damage is, but also whether or not anybody needs to be rescued from that flooding.
I can only imagine how much this complicates whatever was happening with coronavirus. I mean, obviously, Texas has been hit hard by COVID-19, as so many states were. So having to evacuate between 5,000 and 10,000 people, how does that work when you're trying to keep people distant and not spread COVID-19?
Believe it or not, this is our second hurricane during COVID-19. We had one last month that came into Corpus Christi and went all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley with very heavy flooding there. And we learned at that time new strategies to use in evacuations, for example, and that is as opposed to evacuating people to large convention centers and things like that, we try to put as many as possible into hotel rooms so that families can isolate together so that they are not in a congregate setting spreading COVID-19. It worked very well in the aftermath of Hurricane Hanna because several weeks after Hurricane Hanna, the number of people testing positive for COVID-19 and the hospitalizations for COVID-19 actually declined. And we're hoping everybody here continue to follow the safe standards of wearing a mask, sanitizing your hands, as well as maintaining your distance. If they were able to do that, I have no doubt that we will be able to continue to contain COVID-19.
And let me just give everybody a little bit of a status report on what's happening with COVID-19 in your state. Cases peaked sometime in late June, and then since then, you've been steadily ticking down, but in the past week, it looks like you've ticked up a bit, not only in cases, but in the positivity rate as well. We have a graph for that. So what's going on?
Well, first, I will tell you with the positivity rate, that is compromised a little bit by some outdated test results that have come in. The main thing to look at is the number of people hospitalized for COVID-19, and we've had a steady decline since July the 27th in the number of people hospitalized, and we have the lowest number of people hospitalized now since early June, and that includes people in ICU units. And so the health situation for people who tested positive for COVID-19 continues to improve.
President Trump is speaking tonight at the RNC. What do you expect him to say about coronavirus?
Yeah, I'll be candid with you because I've been literally working around the clock on the hurricane. I haven't had a chance to tune into anything concerning politics. My focus right now is making sure we do everything possible to save lives, to continue these rescue operations. And I have no doubt that I'll be talking to the president because I know that he's very concerned about the status of what happened on the ground here in Texas.
You haven't watched a single night of the RNC, you're saying?
I've been watching the hurricane as it's approaching. So one reason why we had such good results in dealing with the hurricane is because we work a week in advance, around the clock, pre-positioning the National Guard, what's called Texas Task Force 1 and 2 that engage in search and rescue operations, as well as we added 1,000 Department of Public Safety officers into the region, especially the region where people evacuated from, because we want to get in there and make sure we both prevent looting, but also stabilize the communities so that we can minimize both the loss of life as well as the damages that may have occurred.
Given all that, do you think that President Trump should postpone his speech tonight, given what's happening in Louisiana and Texas?
I think it will continue on as planned, and I think he will give a terrific speech.
Governor Greg Abbott, we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for giving us a status report on all of this.
Don't let a worn-down scooter limit your mobility. All Health Medical will travel to your home to replace broken parts, change your batteries, and make your old scooter run like new again. So get moving. Call 410-518-6777. That's 410-518-6777.
Doggone it. I had soap in my eyes. Doggone it, you snuck me.
So we are now 15 days before a presidential...
Come on. You snuck me. No fair. No fair. I got snuck. This video is gonna be trash. We ain't making no money off of this. Luckily, we're gonna do the live in a minute.
This is Greg Norshow with INKAGNEDO. We're here in Lake Charles. There's a pretty large fire there where the oil refineries are. I don't know for sure if it is the oil refinery or if it's another structure, but it has been continuing to grow in size throughout the morning. If you also look at the bridge, you see the bars from the IP casino that dislodged and ended there.
Is that the same link? That was like the same thing. Hold on, pull the chat up. Oh, that's our latest one. I thought you put 2 links in the chat. Hold on. Is that the same thing? Okay, now you sent this link. There ain't no sound. There's a live camera. Shadow, what's going on? People right there hanging at the beach. I don't see nothing going on there. Are they hanging out? Let's put the music back on. I mean, it's a beautiful view. What happened?
It's Umpire Today's half.
Wait a minute, is somebody put a link in the chat? Yeah, no, I ain't there. Let me snatch it real quick. Copy that link. All right. Let's see what this is. Then we'll check Naya's link. I mean, commercial, no! You damn commercial? Hold on, how see this?
I just have not had a chance to look in there. There's been no movement.
Oh, they still sitting there. They still sitting there. We ain't gonna sit here all this time. Let's be fast forward. They still sitting there. They gonna put a commercial in. Come on with the commercial, man. You holding us up here. Let me set the chat while that thing's spinning. We can pass the time. They still standing there. Let me pull the chat up. Now he said, yes, BD, it's a live camera. It's calm right now. Now he said, yes, traffic jam. Now he said, look like my old car. He said that's over. He might take off. Now he said, maybe he took a nap. Well, let's go find out. Looks like it's still going on. Fast forward a little bit. It's still going on. It's been 20-something minutes. The chicken. You chicken. You chicken. You went that far to do that.
When it comes to gas consumption.
You should have gunned it. What the heck, man? You're supposed to have a crash out.
All right, thank you.
Something. You went that far. Why stop now? Can't get in no more trouble with the judge. Yeah. You can't get no more trouble with the judge.
I have to check with Alan.
Somebody talk to me. You can't get in no more trouble.
Alan says no, we are not able to stay for that. Oh, there he is now. Hands up. There is another person in the passenger seat.
We got a commercial coming up. Doggone it. Oh, I hate this kind of commercial. You gotta watch the whole thing. I hate that. I thought it was gonna be a crash or something. The way they showed it, man. I'm giving up. Thought we had some action here. They got the man telling us, why they so scared of him? Everyone talking about all them cops, they're gonna handcuff that man.
I don't think that he understands English.
Why don't they just tackle the man and handcuff him? Why are they so scared? You got all them guns drawn on that man. Look at that. Car right there, gun in him, gun. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That's what I can count. It's 17 guns on this man right now. Why nobody won't tackle him?
Now we've got the passenger, one hand up out of the window. I'm not sure that these people understand English. The driver has gotten out, handcuffed, he's on the ground. Now they're dealing with the passenger.
He coming towards you with his hands behind his head. Now you got to turn around and back up. Keep your hands on your head, goddamn, I'm scared of you. We got all these guns on you. We got the dub. I'm still scared of you. He's a black man. Make sure you ain't got nothing on you.
It appears to be a male, I'm not sure.
Man trying to come to you. Why are they so scared? Look at him. All right, got him. I got him, y'all. Hey, I'm a hero. Really?
They believe that there may be another passenger inside the car. Yes, sir.
Why ain't nobody checking it out? Why don't somebody walk up there and look?
All right.
I ain't never seen nothing like this.
All right.
Somebody better be in there. I think I see movement. It is somebody. I see it. This is our tax money at work. All these vehicles in there burning gas. But somebody can go up there and get the man. Look at him. Look at the cat right here. Look at him. He's scared to death. Look at him. Come on, let both of us go. You hold the gun on him. And I'm going to go grab him. You hold the gun on him, sweetie. Why are they so scared? There must still be somebody in the car. Let's fast forward some. Look at him. Now they're going up to the car. Look at him. Oh, look at him.
It's all clear.
All right. I'm sorry I wasted y'all time with that. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry I wasted y'all time with that. I thought we were going to see crashes and wrecks and all kinds of stuff by the title. That was whack. That was whack. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a train wreck. That's what it said in the title. The police did not catch them. Because the light turned green. They could have gunned it. They decided to give up. And they giving up, and you scared to go get them. Explain that, somebody. He gave up, and they were scared to go get him. I heard it all now. Person give up to you, you scared to go get him. All right, let me snatch this link from Naya. Did we see it already? Let's find out. All righty.
Hey, Doug, I barely made you out. Do you guys have a picture yet?
What is going on? All right, y'all, the phone got knocked on the antenna. All right, look at that. The phone got knocked on the antenna, and I don't want to have to stop the show.
And I said we're 15 miles away.
Because it would stop the show. To make it search again.
13 debates were about 15 miles away from Beaumont for fuel.
I gotta tell you, I left the bathroom door open because I was in there washing up. But it feels pretty cool sitting here. Hey, look at that whole tree. The roots is up. That whole tree is dead.
Sky 13, do you have a picture?
Somebody lawn tractor out there.
Yes, I am re-racking is Hackberry, Louisiana.
Look at all that room they got. Oh my goodness. Y'all don't realize when you're in a city, the only time you see places like that is when you see a park. Everything be so slammed together. I'm just amazed as I see this. This is amazing. Look at that damage. That was somebody's refrigerator.
That pickup truck again heading back towards the Gulf. That's the end of our Hackberry stuff. I will send you the stuff near Lake Charles and the fire next. Again, that the pickup truck is kind of the end of coverage.
Look at that. That was a mobile home. It turned upside down. Look at that. That's a mobile home. Ain't no home no more. You know what? That might have been a storage shed for the farm. But the house is right there and they got a pool in the backyard. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but see that board in front of the steps? I think that's how you walk from the pool to the steps without walking in the grass. That's a daggone shame.
Hey, good morning. Like you said, we're in Cameron Parish, one of the worst hit areas by Hurricane Laura. And I want you to take a look at this damage here behind me. This is what just about everything in Cameron Parish looks like that we've seen so far. You don't drive past a structure that's really still standing. You know, we started out early this morning coming from Houston. We headed down I-10 to get here. And you know, there just wasn't much damage for quite a ways, and things started to feel a little bit eerie outside because no one is on I-10. You start seeing these businesses that don't have any power, and as you start moving into Lake Charles and further, that damage starts picking up. There's downed trees, buildings just completely crushed, like this one that you're looking at here in front of us. We saw a home that half of the home had just collapsed. We saw an RV, a 40-foot RV that had flipped over. And this just goes to show how strong these winds are. And we talked to a man who actually stayed in his house in Iowa, Louisiana. That's just east of Lake Charles. And he said he wouldn't do it again. He said he's not staying for another Category 4 hurricane. You know, this is a guy you think of, a man's man. And he said he was scared. He said he stayed in the middle of his house in a room that didn't have any windows and just tried to ride it out. But he said it was scary because it was dark outside. He couldn't really see what was going on. He said the winds were over 100 miles an hour for 5+ hours. They rode out this storm. And he says the wind wasn't like a howl. It was more like someone screaming. He's one of a few people in his neighborhood in Iowa that stayed in his home. And now they're kind of walking around trying to assess the damage and talk to other people who have left their homes. So, like I said, we're heading down to Cameron, the area that was hit hardest by Hurricane Laura. I've been posting some videos on Twitter and social media, and I'm getting messages from people who are saying, please, can you check on my home? Can you check on my parents' home? I guess that just goes to show how scared people are. They don't know when they'll be able to get back. These roads are passable. It's tough. It's not just any car is going to be able to pass through here because there are downed power lines and power poles, and those tension cables are on the roads. There's downed limbs. So you really have to be careful. And quite frankly, we don't know how far we're going to be able to get down to Cameron. So some of these homes that people are asking us to check on, I really don't think that we're going to be able to, just because we're not going to be able to get there for them. And that just goes to show that they're not going to be able to get there. They're not going to know the status of their home for quite some time, which you can just imagine is terrifying. But we are going to continue driving, and you know, this sort of thing is devastating. These people aren't home right now, and they're going to be coming back to just extreme devastation. So I'm going to send it back to you guys, reporting live in Cameron Parish. Micah Hatfield, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, Micah, if you have just a second here, it is just horrific devastation there behind you, for especially the folks who live there. But I was shocked to see in your report, I don't know if you were able to see it, but there's a horse behind all of that damage. Just incredible to see the animal, and I suppose the horse is okay and apparently rode out the storm.
Mika, you bring up an excellent point. I have been saying this all day. We were up by those homes that the shingles are torn off, where the wind was so strong it tipped over a 40-foot RV. And there's cattle that are just in fields. They're just eating grass. They don't look hurt. They don't look alarmed. And you know, the winds were over 100 miles an hour. You just wonder how they were able to survive this storm and still be there uninjured. And you know, even little baby calves still with their mothers. It's really shocking how that happened.
Glad to see it, though. At least that, right?
Yep. Micah Hatfield in Cameron Parish, thank you very much.
Sorry about that, dear. I got you. I was going between the two of you in the hangout. It happens sometimes. Mistake. Don't get mad.
Videos show the fury of Hurricane Laura, giving you an idea of what winds of at least 130 miles an hour can do. This video was taken as the eyewall moved over Lake Charles.
That boy took a dip.
Quickly flipped that RV onto its side.
Bam!
Now, our crew has just arrived in the Lake Charles area after weathering the storm in Lafayette. Let's check in now with Ton Trong. Ton, what have you seen so far today?
Well, Karen, as you indicated at the top of the show, most of the concern initially before the storm made landfall was about storm surge, but we can certainly tell you it's been a wind event. We are currently at the intersection of Martin Luther King Highway and Highway 90, and take a look at behind me here. Don't be deceived by that standing water. That is more the exception, not the rule, in and around Lake Charles at this point. And we positioned ourselves here because earlier on, as we arrived here, we saw a massive plume of smoke coming in from beyond that skyline, and that was from a chlorine leak from the biolab, which is confirmed by West Lake Charles officials. We are not sure about the status of that chemical fire at this point, but at this point, we also haven't seen much of that plume. As we drove in further east on Martin Luther King Highway, we saw rows and rows of streets with down power lines. We saw roofs that suffered major damage, trees that were snapped in half, down trees as well, uprooted. Now, that is the case here, as you see, those in blocks and blocks of homes and businesses that have suffered major damage. There is a good amount of heavy equipment right now in Lake Charles. And remarkably, shortly after, I mean, this is roughly almost 11 hours after landfall, there's a good amount of traffic moving in and around Lake Charles at this point. And another positive sign, the National Guard is here too, because of the down power lines that we have east of here. They're starting to kind of clear out one lane so people can get through, probably more importantly for the linemen to get in and also to restore power here. There is no power at this point. Cell service is very spotty. Take a look behind me. This is the Lord's Outreach Worship Center, and it was boarded up, but in fact, 30 people, roughly 30 people rode out the storm there last night. You can see some of the roof damage behind there. We spoke with some of the parishioners. This one lady has been going here for the past 18 years. She said it was by the grace of God that this church is still standing, because it was quite frightening riding out the storm last night as Hurricane Laura made landfall. We'll have much more on later editions of Eyewitness News and also on WWLTV.com. Reporting from Lake Charles, Ton Trump.
You're right, it was a murder.
Ton, I just want to make sure that we have perspective on that chemical spill. Chlorine is nothing you want to mess with. Did you say you can no longer see the plume?
At this point, no, because initially when we rode in here about an hour and 20 minutes ago, that plume was very visible. Again, the wind right now is, I wouldn't say it's very strong, but it is significant. We'll get some strong gusts, but we do not see that plume of smoke. And it was very prominent, and we could drive, as we were driving along Martin Luther King Highway East, it was still dominating the skyline. At this point, we just came back to this position about 20 minutes ago to set up for this live shot. It's no longer, at least from our vantage point, we can't see it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that that is under control, but we have not confirmed with any officials about the status of that. But visibly, we can't see it at this point.
And you've covered so many storms. I know we don't have a lot of time, but it's got to be encouraging that you could drive from point A to point B and that there are cars going behind you.
Yeah, and I wouldn't advise it because there's a lot of down power lines. Of course, I mean, I don't want to put us above anybody else, but we're trying to get pictures of the disaster. But we do see many people, and I don't think they're first emergency or first responders going in here. We saw many residents, and this is where the danger also comes in after such a storm too, because there's no lights, no signals at the traffic stops, and there's a lot of debris and down power lines. We don't know how live they are at this point too, so it is quite dangerous, and this is where people can also get into trouble because we're getting a good amount of traffic in and around here. Karen.
All right, Ton Trung reporting live from Lake Charles. Thank you very much. We'll be talking to you throughout the day.
You gonna sneak me? Snuck me. I wasn't paying attention. I'm typing. You snuck me. All right, what the heck? I hit the play button.
Louisiana, let's check back in with Robert Arnold live in Lake Charles tonight. Robert?
Winds only keep getting stronger through this area. We still get some of that driving rain that comes in as well. The gusts are becoming much more frequent, much more sustained, and now it is just the strong winds. We're also starting to see smaller, weaker pieces of debris come loose, like this sign in the parking garage where we've stationed ourselves to try and give ourselves some buffer from the wind. One of the best indicators, though, if you could look past that light, you can see how the wind is starting to push that rain sideways. It's starting to push those smaller trees, the bushes, down farther as it gets stronger. One of the things that we keep watching, though, is you have to keep an eye towards that way. That way, we're going to see Lake Charles, which is fed by the Calcasieu River. All of that is supposed to come out of its banks. In fact, they're predicting the Calcasieu River will reach record levels, that it will be higher from this storm than it's ever been in any of the past storms. That, as the storm crawls up Cameron Parish and into Calcasieu Parish, where we are, that storm surge is going to come with it. We've also got several bayous over here, along with some smaller tributaries. Those were already starting to get swollen earlier in the afternoon when we were driving around before the winds really picked up. It's hard to get a good sense of what's happening now because we're starting to see different areas where the lights are going out while we have electricity here. And I think one of my last live shots you had mentioned, Chris, about the skyline lighting up. Those were some of the transformers that were blowing. I didn't see it at the time because it was behind me. My partner, Byron Nichols, informed me that he was starting to see those transformers behind me start popping. That's to be expected when you have these high winds through the area. They're expecting much of this area to be without power. That's why they had issued the mandatory evacuations. You did see a large number of people leave the Lake Charles area as well as the greater Calcasieu Parish area. They had even offered free transportation. We saw bus rides from any bus stop in this area out to Burton Coliseum, which is near the airport, Lake Charles, and then from there, anybody who wanted to get out of town, they were going. Byron's pointing again, and I think he's seeing some more of those transformers popping off. But as I was saying, we did see a lot of people take advantage of that free service to be taken to shelters out of the area. Because of the mandatory evacuation, there's not going to be any shelters here. That was one thing. They don't want anybody in this area, so that's why they didn't want to open those shelters. We talked to a handful of people who are going to try and ride this out, and as I've said before, we'll have to try and check on those people after this storm passes through the area. They say they're used to it, they've been through it, and they've got the supplies that they need. Let's hope that's the case, and that storm surge does not swamp through this area. Here comes another one of those really good sustained gusts. Now, one of the things that we had been told is that when Rita took this path back in 05, it inundated Cameron Parish. In fact, we were here in Lake Charles following Rita as well. You could see much of this area was underwater. So with Laura coming up much the same path in a much stronger storm, they're predicting that Laura is going to deliver a much stronger storm surge than Rita even did, which means we're going to see more of the area underwater. We're expecting roads to be impassable, and the sheriff's office has said once these winds hit about 48 miles per hour sustained, no more deputies are going out. They cannot risk it. So if people are here and they do get into trouble and they dial 911, there's a good chance that help's not going to get here until Laura's through the area and these winds have died down. It was several hours ago, well, pardon me, about an hour and a half ago when we got word that I-10 had been shut down in Lake Charles, both directions. So that's it. No more anybody getting in or out of this area until Laura is finally finished with that. Good thing, a lot of the refineries in this area had already done all their shut-in procedures. They had already shut things down to the point where they were running backup. I had mentioned it earlier, but you could see the lights. There was a refinery there. You can still see the flares. So you could see the lights earlier, clearly make out all the different shapes of the equipment in the facilities in that refinery. Those lights are now out. You can only see the flares. Where we're staying, we're at the Golden Nugget Hotel because this has got a good garage. It's up a little bit higher, so we thought it was about the best spot we could be in. There's a lot of oil field workers here as well. They've come in from the refineries, come in off those rigs, and they're sheltering here until Laura has passed. We're supposed to get the eye through here. That means we're going to get the eye wall. That is some of the most brutal winds you can imagine. That's also where you tend to see a lot of tornadoes. Once that eye passes, though, that's only about halfway through. Then we're going to have the back half that comes with it. And of course, that means none of that water is going to start draining out until this storm is through this area, Lake Charles and the greater Calcasieu Parish area. Reporting live from Lake Charles, Robert Arnold, KBRC, Channel 2 News.
Robert, right behind you is L'Auberge, and I'd say about 2 minutes ago, I noticed in your live shot there was a car that was driving in that parking lot. Is that entire area evacuated, or what's the situation with L'Auberge and the Golden Nugget?
Yeah, L'Auberge is closed. We're here at the Golden Nugget. Tillman Fertitta was kind enough to allow members of the media to stay here. As I mentioned, there's also a lot of oil field workers here as well. But yes, this area is evacuated, is empty. Some of the people we've seen driving around, I couldn't make out that SUV, but I've seen security. There are still some people driving around security, just making sure no one's taking advantage of this situation. Interestingly, the sheriff has said looting has never been a problem in this area after storms, and he doesn't expect it to be this time, but he is warning people there's a curfew in effect. If you push deputies and you're out past that curfew, you are likely going to go to jail. And his jail is empty as it is right now because he sent all his prisoners farther north to other facilities. Dominique?
Hey, Robert, help us with your orientation right now. Is your back to the Gulf of Mexico? So I know you're in Calcasieu Parish. So is Cameron Parish south of you? Is your back facing Cameron Parish?
Yes.
Okay, and so that's
Cameron
what we're
Parish is to the south. Technically, as the crow flies, yeah. Cameron Parish is going to be to the south of us here. What we have basically in our area is going to be Lake Charles, and not far from here, we're going to have Green Lake. A little farther south is going to be Moss Lake, and then you have, of course, the Calcasieu River that feeds into Lake Charles. I hope that helps, Chris.
Absolutely,
but, yeah, Cameron Parish is back that way.
And the one thing that I'm trying to get at, Robert, and you can probably help our viewers understand this, is back behind you where we're seeing those flashes of light. That's probably where the power outage right now, right there along the Gulf, right?
Yes, exactly, because that's where the storm's coming. That's where Laura's coming in strongest right now. Like I said, we're getting some good gusts and everything, but it's not as sustained. We're expecting that to change, and we're expecting to get those just absolutely brutal, hammering winds that don't let up here, probably within the next 30, 45 minutes, an hour at most, especially as that eye gets closer and clear. And then, of course, we have to get through the eye wall, which is going to be the worst of them all.
And, Robert, it's probably good to clarify that we're not seeing lightning strikes behind you, but it's actually transformers that are blowing, which cast a blue light in the sky.
Right. Sometimes you get that blue light. Occasionally you get that green light as well. No, I have not seen any lightning strikes through here. It was interesting. Earlier this afternoon, we got a good rainstorm. We thought that was going to be the beginning, one of the outer bands, and there were some really spectacular lightning strikes earlier, but that was it. I have not seen any lightning since then.
Well, Justin said he was tracking he had the lightning striker on one of his radars back here in the studio. He didn't see any lightning. So, I mean, what we're seeing, Robert, and you can see those wind gusts are really picking up right there. What we're seeing are those Those big transformers are taking the brunt of Laura's sustained 150-mile-per-hour winds down there on the coast.
And that's usually one of the first things that's going to start going. You have those transformers that blow. You have some areas that have some of their electric underground. I've been in some coastal communities where they run those power lines underground, and it does save the electricity for a little bit longer. But no, those transformers are going to be the first to go, especially when you have winds this high.
And speaking of winds, we are checking with Justin right now on your wind speed. Okay, so right now, Robert, you're experiencing 72-mile-per-hour winds and gusting right now.
Okay, well, how would it feel? Well, there we go. That's probably some of the best visuals you can get is when you can see that wind push the rain under the lights through that area. That's where you really get a sense of how strong that wind is. And we've got a little bit of a shoot because, like I was talking about, that refinery there coming off the water through there as that wind comes back around and whips everything through this area. That's when you start getting some of those stronger gusts. And of course, as it comes up through the south as well.
Well, yeah, help our viewers understand that, Robert, because again, you're probably, I'm guessing, having spoken to Frank and Justin and everybody, you're about, 40 miles inland from the coast, from the Gulf of Mexico, and you're seeing 72-mile-per-hour wind gusts where you are. You can only imagine what they're seeing down there.
Right, and we're going to be experiencing those same amount of winds, especially because, as Frank and Justin have both been saying, this is one of those storms that just is not going to lose strength easily. Usually what we've seen a lot of storms. They approach the coastline, they're very strong, they're Cat 3s, they're Cat 4s, start talking about possibility of being a Cat 5, but the closer they get to land, they start to run out a little bit of steam, and they also start to lose a lot of steam once they hit land, because the nice land masses tend to start breaking up those storms. That is not going to be the case with Laura. So yeah, these winds are going to last for quite a while through this area, and it's going to take a lot to sap her strength.
And Robert, we've got Justin Stapleton's mic hot for you right now. He wants to talk to you.
Hey, Robert, just wanted to give you an update from where you're standing right now. It looks like the northern eye wall has just started to reach the coastline near Cameron. So they're seeing about 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So you probably got, 40 miles inland. I'd say within the next hour, you're going to probably start seeing closer to about 90 to 100-mile-an-hour winds.
Okay, I appreciate it. And I'm sorry about looking down and digging my head, but like I said earlier, we've reached that point in every storm where the wind picks up every little tiny bit of dirt and rock, and it sends it flying into your face, so it makes it difficult to look forward. But thank you for the update, Justin. I appreciate it. It's a little hard. We feel a little cut off out here sometimes, so I appreciate that information.
Robert, I've got a quick question for you. I mean, we appreciate your reporting. We don't want you to be a hero to a fault here, so can you kind of walk us through exactly where you are when things get too treacherous, where you can get inside to protect you and the crew?
Absolutely. Well, one of the biggest things for us, it was storm surge. So we wanted to find a place that was up high. So we're about 15 feet up high in this parking garage here at the Golden Nugget. Yep, comes through. Pardon me as we go in through here. That's one of our colleagues. That's Renee, another photojournalist who's absolutely amazing. So we're here about 15 feet off the ground, so we feel we're in a good space to get away from the storm surge. There's our truck right there, our storm tracker, and this is giving us somewhat of a buffer against the wind. So when things come in, we can get in here. It's not nearly as bad as you can see. Comes through. Some of the gusts that are coming through, it'll penetrate through, but not much. Biggest thing is there's really nothing here that can fly around and hit us, and that was the other thing too. One of the things you have to look for when you cover these storms is any kind of debris. You heard Mario talk about tents and everything like that. We actually took down the one sign that was up here and put it to the side just so it wouldn't fly off later and kill us. And what I'm talking about are signs like that. So those are down there, and that's the last thing we want. Those things breaking off in our area. So that's why we've come up here.
Look at those swaying.
Yes, exactly. You heard Mario talk about the people with tents and things like that. Anything becomes a projectile when you're talking about winds of this speed. So we're in a good area where we don't have to worry about that right now. But there's those winds that Justin was talking about coming through as that eye gets closer to us.
Well, and just to give a shout out too, you're paired up with Byron Nichols, otherwise known as Big Dog around here.
Our chief photographer.
Weathered many a storm as well. So you've got a good teammate there.
I've weathered many a storm with Byron
Yes,
Nichols.
we do. He and I have been through a lot of these. He and I have been through a lot of these together, so I always feel like I'm in a really, really good hands with him.
The photojournalists are oftentimes the unsung heroes in this, because we see Robert, we see everyone in front of the camera, but they're working and putting in, yeoman's work as well. Hey, you mentioned Renee, and from what I understand, Renee, if she's still standing there and if you can grab her, I think it would be great. I I think Renee grew up in Lake Charles. So here she is covering a storm in her hometown. See if she's willing to kind of share what her thoughts are on this storm, a Category 4 coming ashore just south of where she literally grew up.
Yeah, she's here. Renee, Chris wants to talk to you. Since you grew up in this area, you've seen a lot of the storms through here. Kind of talk about this. Your family here still.
Yes, my mom and dad both evacuated. They're actually at my place right now in Houston, so it was kind of weird coming back to nothing really, because all my family and friends, cousins, they're all gone. They went like Mississippi way, but I was here for Rita. I actually was working. I was straight out of college, and that was like my first major storm right after Katrina, because Katrina didn't really touch us at all. We just kind of got like a little bit of an outer band, but really nothing. Rita was like, it was very similar with the path and with the wind and the rain whipping through. When I was here, we were working at a hospital. That's where my TV station went. It was the local NBC affiliate here, and they like brought us to a hospital. We like stayed live streaming like the whole entire time, and we would go out to the garage and check it out. And it's kind of similar with the bands and how they're coming and the wind speed and the rains. But this area here, L'Auberge, was very, very new. And the golf course was totally flooded out. Because I came here and shot some stuff the next morning after, and it was just like a river. This whole little area, like, that's the Preon Lake Road over there, that was flooded out. There's a couple of homes over by the bayou that were kind of flooded out too. But I moved after that, so I wasn't here for the rest, like Ike and all that. But I can tell you, definitely Rita did do some devastation. Like McNeese Stadium was all flooded. I actually have photos of all that too. It was pretty crazy to see all that. So I'm feeling like this is going to be very similar to Rita's damage.
And I know you said your parents are, thankfully, they have a great daughter, and they're at your house in Houston, though. It's got to be an awful feeling to go through this.
It is. I'm kind of nervous. You know, my shift starts back at 7, 8, but it's like, how can I sleep? This is my hometown, you know? I'm like worried, like I'm anxious. Like I went to my parents' house and taped some windows and fixed a bowl of gumbo that's still in the fridge, and I just couldn't even eat the whole bowl because I was just anxious. Like I'm just so worried about everybody, not just my family, just everybody. Because I know a couple of people that stayed behind. There's a neighbor on my street that stayed. A couple of people my brother knows that are like sick and like wheelchair bound, and it's just like they waited too late to get out. So I'm just like really anxious, just worried about people.
But you got their address, we can go try and check on them afterwards.
Hopefully we can make it, you know, make it out of here. I just don't know, because I know this area is prone to flooding because of the river here and the bayous around here. So we'll see how it looks tomorrow if we can get out.
How long does it take usually to drain? I mean, I was here for Rita, but it was only a couple of days. You lived through it. How long does it take to drain through there?
I mean, I feel like that next day it drained pretty quickly. Like for the main roads, because there's a lot of trees down, power lines, so a lot of roads were incompatible because of that. So that was the main trick, was, you know, we had a lot of flat tires on our news cars here, and, you know, I was with another co-worker of mine. We were riding around, we were like the flat fixture crew. Like we left our car at Love Street, and yeah, it was just really nuts just navigating the roads with all the debris and everything that just was taking over the streets. But it didn't really take too long to drain down, I don't feel like, but the power was definitely out for like, I know for a fact, a week.
That's the worst part, is the power is out for a long time, and that's just miserable.
I saw the transformers blowing. Did you see that?
Yeah, Byron told me about it. Actually, I think Chris in the studio saw it. Byron saw it before I did because my back was
that direction and this direction. So I'm pretty sure it's a lot of power outages in the city right now. So,
but whether you can't do it, it's unavoidable in winds like that.
Exactly, very unavoidable. They're just whipping through. When I was driving back, it was just starting. I timed it out, looking at the radar. I was like, okay, I can get back, because the winds were just starting to make the street signs blow. A couple of red lights were swaying. I was just like, yep, it's time to get back to home base.
All right, thank you, Renee. Go get some rest. I know you don't have to be on till 7.
She's not sleeping, Robert.
She's amazing and dedicated. Now, I couldn't either. I can't sleep in these things either.
Well, that's the thing, especially when it's your hometown. And what I got most out of that interview, listen to this. So Renee's family from Lake Charles evacuated to Houston, right? Our 6 o'clock producer, Erica Young, who grew up in Cameron Parish, south of where you are, along the coast, where this thing is coming ashore, her family evacuated to Lake Charles. Okay, and so we're going to speak to her because she tells me that she is on a group text with her family right now, checking in with mom, checking in with dad, checking in with her brother, and we're going to talk to her coming up because, again, I think those stories resonate with people because you can understand when it's your hometown.
It's about family.
It's everything you got.
It's about family.
It's everything you got.
Robert, I'm so curious, as you were talking to Renee, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I know here in our coastal communities, we were talking about this yesterday, there were mandatory evacuations here along our coastal communities. I personally am surprised to hear that people stayed back in Lake Charles and that everybody wasn't scooped up and taken out of there.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I was going to talk about that when I talked to the sheriff this afternoon. He said, a lot of people think that when we say mandatory and you don't leave, we're going to send, large men to your house and pick you up and make you. Because that's not the case. He goes, we're not going to force anybody to leave their home. Mandatory is just the strongest term we can possibly use to tell people to leave the area. It's also the warning to people that when it gets too bad, we can't come and save you until the winds start to die down. And as a matter of fact, the sheriff here in this parish, in Calcasieu Parish, Tony Mancuso, it was his first year as sheriff when Rita hit the area, and he said he thought that was a once-in-a-lifetime, and he prayed that was a once-in-a-lifetime storm, and you can kind of hear it in his voice. He was a little beleaguered that he's going to be going through something, if not the same, a little bit worse than Rita was.
And Robert, remind our viewers what the National Hurricane Center said about that region and the storm surge tonight.
Well, you're right. It was that word. I had never seen the National Weather Service use the term unsurvivable before. Wow. And they used it over and over again. Unsurvivable storm surge, life-threatening, potentially deadly. This is the first time I've heard the term or seen the term unsurvivable. And that really, really struck me because that's a very definite term. They are saying if you stay, you're going to lose your life. This storm surge is not anything that you can survive. And that's why I pointed it out during my 10 o'clock live shot, because that really, really struck me as to how serious the Weather Service was trying to warn people about the severity of Laura.
Well, and that really dovetails your explanation about mandatory evacuations, because if they're not getting people out of there, then they're at least trying to drive home the message of what can happen if you stay.
Right. And, the thing that's interesting, I'm from Biloxi, Mississippi originally, so I grew up with a couple of hurricanes and then came to Houston and had a lot more and seen a lot more in my career. And the one thing that's kind of amazing about people who live near the coast is things that the salt water gets in their veins. They feel that they can weather anything. They've weathered a lot of storms. They've weathered hurricanes in the past. And it's just, this is where they live. They love everything about where they live. They love the culture. They love the area. And they just don't want to leave it. And they think, hey, this is just part of life down here on the coast. I can deal with it. If I couldn't deal with it, I wouldn't live here.
But as we know, with every storm, it's different. And we look at what Harvey did to Houston and what a different signature that was for us. And people who were completely unaffected in previous storms have a completely different story to tell post-Harvey.
Well, it's amazing to me, everything I always get at, how does this storm compare? Was this storm really that bad? And I say that is such a sliding scale. If your house was not destroyed during a hurricane, that wasn't that bad a hurricane. If your house was destroyed during a hurricane, that's going to be the worst hurricane you've probably ever experienced in your life. So I hate to be mean, but I hate that question because it really depends on how it affects somebody. So for Houstonians, everybody kind of collectively held their breath. Thankfully, we dodged the area, so that's not going to be that bad. It's going to be devastating for the people of Southeast Louisiana.
Yeah, and you think about those first responders, I think you hit the nail right on the head because, they take an oath to serve and protect, but they also have family and loved ones that they want to return home to. And so a lot of these times, I think, the National Hurricane Center will put out these warnings and they'll say these things because they do want it to resonate with people that if you are going to stay behind, you're on your own terms.
Right. You can't get help.
Right. And if you think about it, right. Well, I was going to say, if you think about it, if you put, these ambulances out on the road with, which are usually much taller, much higher, much more susceptible to the winds, you're endangering them. So then if they get in an accident and they come down, then you have to send more of the EMTs, more deputies, more police officers out to try and rescue those people. And you start compounding the problem. That's why, and you heard the sheriff say it earlier, it breaks his heart to say it because they are here to protect and serve, but they just can't risk other lives once the storm reaches a certain point because it's almost, as he put it,
at one point, it's almost like a suicide mission once these winds get so high and the surge starts coming in and the roads are impassable at that point. They have to wait until the winds die down.
All right, Robert, we're going to bring Justin Stapleton back into the conversation because he's monitoring the wind speed and the wind gusts right there where you are.
Yeah, they're starting to pick up. I'm getting a couple of different reports where they're getting anywhere from around 75 to 80 miles an hour. As I just heard Frank a second ago, and we mentioned, Robert, that the northern eye wall has just hit Cameron. So they're just south of you at this point, and they've already picked up 101 mile-an-hour wind gusts in Cameron, and conditions are going to continue to go downhill here.
So, Frank, that's what, 30 miles south of where Robert is right now, roughly?
Yeah, exactly. The northern eye wall is now in Cameron Parish.
And how fast is this storm moving?
About 15 miles per hour. And still, the 12 o'clock update just came in, and we still have 150 mile-an-hour sustained winds within this hurricane.
Wow. And so that I'm assuming the emergency wind warning, I guess, continues at this hour?
Yeah.
As far west as Beaumont?
Oh, yeah. Well, in a second ago, I actually just saw one of our, the meteorologist, Justin Warren, over at our sister station in San Antonio, is in Orange, Texas, and it looks like the conditions there are starting to go downhill. He was clocking some wind gusts upwards of 68, nearly almost 70 miles an hour.
And that's what waves.
Orange, just right across the border, right?
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Again, you're monitoring these pictures from Robert Arnold and his photojournalist Byron Nichols there in Lake Charles. They're in the parking lot of the Golden Nugget. If you live here in Houston, you may go there and do a little gaming, and so you know where we're talking about right there off of I-10. It's looking right now. His camera is pointed in the direction of the Gulf, where Laura is again just starting to come ashore, and the eye wall of that storm coming ashore right there in Cameron Parish.
It's really a remarkable image. Thankfully, our crew is high above in a parking garage there, so they're safe and they have an opportunity to be able to break away and get inside if needed. So we will continue to check in on Robert and Byron and Renee and our crew out there and make sure everybody's doing all right and get the latest for you. We'll take a quick break. We're back right after this.
Whoops, it ended. I was in there brushing my daggone teeth. Luckily, a commercial didn't play. We got lucky.
Worse now, and
let me do a refresh. Right, let me see if anything new popped up. Let's chat real quick.
Out in this area as well. You see guys here up ahead.
Look at all them poles knocked down,
They
man.
have search and rescue written on the side of their trucks, and you can see
got
they're
a
kind
cleanup
of trying to
job right there.
strategize how they're going to get down there. But like Simon said, you're not going to be able to get down here for quite a while. There's these large poles that are down, but the thing is, they're down throughout this entire parish. They're down throughout this entire area, so you don't know how quickly the crews will be able to this area specifically start getting them upright and allowing people back into their homes. And I know I said this about 30 minutes ago, but I'm having a lot of people reach out to me on social media who are asking, can you please go check on my home? Go check on the that we own down there. And unfortunately, after we wrap up here, I'm going to have to tell them that no, we're not going to be able to do that. And I know Jeff, you heard from him a few minutes ago. He was on the other side. He was on Holly Beach, west of Cameron. We are northeast of Cameron, just a little bit in Cameron Parish, but not in Cameron exactly. So just any way you try to get there, you're just not able to. One thing I will say is it looks dry out here, right? There's a lot of damage, but there's really not a lot of standing water. Maybe the ditches on the side of the road, but not covering up roads like you might have expected, or like you might have seen after Harvey in Houston. Just a lot of damage that's going to take a considerable amount of time I guess we're going to see search and rescue. People are going to be able to get past. They do have a boat with them, and one thing I want to point out. Having been around people in Louisiana quite a bit for quite a while, the people who are out here are so friendly, so willing to help any way that they can, and it's impressive to see that after they're all facing such devastation, and this disaster response team going into, they don't know what they're going to see down there, and they're still so friendly, and that's the wonderful thing about people in Louisiana.
And Mike, if you have
back to you guys.
Somebody got staying all on poles back up. That's a lot of work right there.
Team go through.
That's a lot of work right there. Somebody got to put them poles back.
I watched as you were doing your live shot, and I tried to count the number of poles down. It appears that they may have just done a domino effect. I got up to 12, and then I just couldn't even. You can't even tell how far down. But what was fascinating was when you're a photographer. I'm not sure who you're with today, but he's doing a great job. But when your photographer kind of panned to the right and then to the left, it appeared that power poles were down on each side. So, it begs the question. Did you see this as you headed from your last location?
It's amazing. It's not water on the road.
We did. And Brian, if we can pan around the other way. So he's going to pan around to show you the way that we came from. And they are down that way. You're able to kind of drive on the shoulder to get past them, but it's just, as we've gotten into this last one, there's a little bit of gravel, so we were able to get around it. But as far as the eye can see, those power poles are down. And in fact, some of them are actually snapped in half. I just noticed that, as you were talking. Some of them are snapped in half, but kind of facing this our whole drive today. And you have to very, very carefully maneuver around them. Hey, good morning. Like you said, we're in Cameron Parish, one of the worst hit areas by Hurricane Laura. And I want you to take a picture behind me. This is what just about everything in Cameron Parish looks like that we've seen so far. You don't drive past a structure. Really still, we started out early this morning coming from Houston down I-10 here. There just wasn't much damage for quite a ways, and things started to feel eerie outside because no one is on I-10. Start seeing that don't have any power, and as you start moving Charles and further, that damage starts picking up. There's downed trees, buildings, just crushed like this one that you're looking at here in front of us. We saw a home that half of the home had just collapsed. We saw an RV, 40-foot RV that had flipped over. This goes to show how strong these winds are. And we talked to a man who actually stayed in his house. And
you got us all right. My bad.
That's just east of Lake Charles. And he said he wouldn't do it again.
What's going on with Reggie? He's still playing that music. Can't do nothing with him.
That he's not.
Were you sexually?
Wait a minute, we gotta check this out. Hold on. Joe Biden said something, y'all, but we gotta look. Joe Biden opened his mouth up. We gotta go look. And he don't talk much. You gotta get him.
Vice President Joe Biden, Mr. Vice President, thanks for being with us. Conservatives have been attacking you for taking 3 days to denounce violence erupting in these protests. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I denounced it a long time ago. I denounced it weeks ago. And I've made it clear from the beginning that there is no justification whatsoever for violence, looting. Matter of fact, it just flies in the face of the legitimate protests that are going on, and it takes away from the whole rationale for what's happening here. So I've condemned the violence from the very beginning. They were just flat wrong, as usual.
The vice president echoed the president last night by telling Americans that they would not be safe in Joe Biden's America.
Well, look, if you think about it, Donald Trump saying you're not going to be safe in Joe Biden's America, all the video being played is being played in Donald Trump's America. Kellyanne Conway came out and was very, very blunt about it today. I think I have the quote here. She said, the more chaos and anarchy and vandalism, the more violence equals better the choice for better for a very clear choice. These guys are rooting for violence. That's what it's all about. to prove that you should be scared of Joe Biden, they're pointing to what's happening in Donald Trump's America. You know, I made it clear from the beginning that there's no place for violence or looting or burning. When I spoke with Jacob Blake's mother, Julia, you guys played her on the air. She's saying that's not who we are. That's not who our family is. That's not who Jacob is. Don't do it. And so, you know, he continues to root for violence. It's the country will be substantially safer when he is no longer in office. And you know, I'm going to work to calm the tensions and root out systemic racism. I'm going to lead.
You think he's actually rooting for violence, that he wants violence because it allows him to claim a law and order mantle?
Sure, and because it takes everybody's eye off the ball. Want to talk about safety? Look at the biggest safety issue in the nation, COVID. You know, just yesterday we had 1,249 deaths. Over the 7-day period, we've averaged 1,000 deaths a day. Now that is more than the 5 largest countries in Europe. A combined population, a combined population bigger than us. You know how many they've had? 77 deaths a day. He has been incompetent in the way in which he's dealt with this. And not only that, you know, he talks about taking away, he's still in court trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
This man don't talk much. He gotta watch.
100 million people with pre-existing conditions and move them in a direction where they can't get coverage. Coverage is going to be lost for someone. And on top of that, I got another quote that I found today that was pointed out to me. This was from August 12th. This is what he said: funding Social Security, the payroll tax. We'll be terminating the payroll tax. The fact of the matter is, the actuary for Social Security said if you do that, Social Security will be bankrupt, not have any money after 2023. You lost 15 million jobs. We're in a position where you have 50 million people needing Social Security. Needing unemployment insurance. And instead of sitting down with the Congress and working something out, he's in one of his golf course sand traps trying to get out of a sand trap. Get us out of this mess, President.
You talked about COVID-19. The CDC just the other day, with virtually no announcement of it, they just changed on their website, changed the guidelines for who should actually get tested, moving away from actually testing people who are asymptomatic. Sources say it was pressured by the Trump administration from the top. Is that change? I mean, every doctor I've talked to says that isn't supported by science.
It's not supported by every doctor I talk to. I speak with the medical professionals on average 3 times a week for an hour and 20 minutes. Nobody I know of out there, the consensus among the serious scientists is that is absolutely a foolish thing to say and do. It's absolutely ridiculous. He hadn't admitted, look, this is a guy talking about, pray God we'll have a vaccine. I'd love to have a vaccine tomorrow. But look at all the confidence people are losing in anything he has to say. Going from inject bleach all the way to, but we don't need this testing. We don't have to test people. And people, it's just absolutely bizarre. He needs to be responsible.
The president has not talked about the shooting of Mr. Blake. He's talked about violence at protests in the wake of it. I'm wondering why you think that is, that he hasn't actually addressed it. There's obviously a lot we do not know about the circumstances around it, but the video obviously has been out there.
Well, look, I don't know enough to know whether that 17-year-old kid exactly what he did, but allegedly he's part of a militia coming out of the state of Illinois. Have you ever heard this president say one negative thing about white supremacists? Have you ever heard it? That's the reason I got back in this race, because of what happened in Charlottesville. People coming out of the woods carrying torches, their veins bulging. Close your eyes and remember what you saw. And a young woman gets killed resisting the hate and violence, and the president gets asked to comment on it. What's he say? He says they're very fine people on both sides. He wouldn't even condemn David Duke, for God's sake, the former Grand Kleagle. This is a guy who has using division and hate is the only way he stays in office. That's what it's all about, dividing.
What is
and the idea he doesn't. Sorry.
I'm sorry, we have a satellite problem. What's your take on the Republican convention so far?
Well, I thought it was a great line that the vice president had last night. We're going to make America great again. Look where the economy is. Look where the health circumstances. Look where COVID is. Look where we are internationally. When we left office, we were among the most respected nations in the world. We led not only by the example of our power, but the power of our example. Now we rank just a click above Russia and a click below China. As I think we're 87 or 8. I can't remember the exact number. But I mean, it is ridiculous. I said when I announced the next president is going to have to do two: unite the country and deal with a world out of order. And we have to do both those things. And the idea, the things he's saying and doing, his embrace of dictator, the way he throws his arms around Putin, the way he talks about Xi Jinping, and how he talked about how they're being so transparent. I mean, I quite frankly, he confused me. I don't understand. Maybe he just doesn't understand. Maybe it's not deliberate. Maybe he just doesn't know enough.
We heard
I don't know, whatever it is.
We heard last night at the RNC from the McCloskeys, the couple who were facing charges for pointing guns at peaceful protesters. They were portrayed essentially as heroes. Is that how you see them?
No, I don't see them that way at all. And by the way, talk about middle-class neighborhoods. They look like they were living in a multi-million-dollar mansion, for God's sake. And the fact that they're pointing at protesters that weren't going after them, no evidence of that. Look, you got to calm this whole situation down. We got to move in a different. The American people aren't buying this. You have over 70-some% of American people saying there is systemic racism. We have a chance to change it without doing anything but helping people. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, doesn't matter. The country is ready. But the only way he can win, and he and Pence can win, I mean, you imagine I'm getting attacked on my religion by Donald Trump? When's the last time he darkened the doorway of a church? Come on.
We've seen athletes just in the last several days stepping back from actually playing any games. The president just called the NBA a political organization. The White House and Pence advisor today dismissed protests as silly. Jared Kushner weighed in on their salaries and they can afford to take the night off. What do you make of what we're seeing in the NBA and the WNBA and Major League Baseball?
People, what Trump knows but won't acknowledge is a lot of these men and women have had brothers, sisters, husbands, wives who have been victimized just because of their color. Just because of their color. These aren't people who, in fact, are out there just they don't need any more attention. They are sick and tired. They're sick and tired. The Bucks coach, did you see him maybe you had him, I was watching on your station, on your show, standing there almost crying, saying, we love America so much, why don't they love us? I'm paraphrasing them. The vast majority of the American people are ready to deal with systemic racism. And all this administration does is keep pouring gasoline on the fire. They don't have a dog whistle, they use a bullhorn. It's all about division. America's always been about addition. We can deal with these problems, make the world better for the country better for all of us, everyone, everybody. We really can. The country's ready.
Oh, you're going to sneak me. You're going to sneak me.
Just going to do the work they were doing prior to this.
Oh,
they'll be able to handle the surge. They've handled surges at the holidays, at Mother's Day.
I had one sock on and one sock off. I got snuck. Oh my goodness. I bet you. No, I was going to say. All right, so somebody had a link. Where's that link at? Didn't Chung Lee have a link? Yeah. Hey, man. Somebody have a link. There it is. Copy link address. Let's back out of here. My back is good there. Come on, man. I'm gonna be out of here by 6.
That's collapsed. 200-400-foot tower. It's been sheared off. It's collapsing, falling into two. We've got some towers off here. Down here. The roofs are down here. The buildings over here have been blown out. A number of buildings downtown have been blown out. A number of roofs are off. A lot of the structures here. I got a building wall over here. It's collapsed off the side. Chase buildings brought to heavy damage. It looks like we got a lot of buildings. All that collapse. The upstairs on all these buildings over here are blown out. Those are all upstairs. Offices are blown out. You can see the furniture, the windows blown in. We got a roof off over a big building over here. Don't know what happened over there, but a big building. This tower has collapsed into multiple buildings off here, immediately to my east here, about 100 feet, about 100 yards, and it's sheared off completely and fell into buildings. Then we got this area back to the west here. Hang on just a minute. Just a second here. It's another text. Just a second. 1 second here. That's what I'm using. That's what I'm using.
Maybe another 30 minutes to get the drone up.
What?
30 more minutes, we can get the drone up, baby.
Just bear with me here. Okay, everybody, let's just stand up. Everybody stay by me here. Walk going on. Get first look, just bear with me here. So, lights now come up so I can see. I've got a collapsed tower. That's a television tower over to my east. Let me shut this off. And okay. Turn that off. Go off around this wall. Looks like the car took some damage. There's lots of damage downtown. Stopped. These are all the bullets that that's probably 30, 40 floors up. You can see the extent of the damage. It's pretty extensive. The building's back up here. They got blown out. Wow, that's amazing. Tore that out. Trying to think. Looks like there's water. I don't know how far, how deep it is. I have no idea. Doesn't look like much water came into downtown as they predicted. Hurricanes. I see some water. I don't see it in downtown. There may be parts of the area that are underwater. Maybe part of this back bay. I'm hearing this back bay over here. North side of the bay. It's water. I see water's very high on the back bay. Not on this side, but over on the north side. It's over the interstate. I can see. It looks like the water. I can't get over there, but I can tell you right now the water is way high. This is first light. There's the water. It looks like it's way over the road there. So there's I-10 comes down and it dips there. That bay, probably 90 there. It looks like the water's back in the backside bay. Looks like this hotel right here has got water. It's up pretty high. See that? Looks like the water's over there.
There's a parking garage right there. What's the water?
Downtown and on the backside where the water surged north there, around the northwest side here, it looks like there's water possibly into some buildings over there. Again, that's not in our location. There's so much debris on the roads here. We do have, I understand, some people trying to get out, but I understand there's we're going to start moving, get out and start moving, and filming stuff. We will. There's some of the roofs up here. Now there's a building up there. Apparently part of it collapsed. I don't know how big it was. The wall was the wall came in the building.
You gotta put something over that microphone or get in the car good.
It'd be nice when the sun's completely up and get rid of the clouds and the wind dies down. It's still gusting about 50 here now.
We was on the bike, y'all used to complain
But
about
the rain has stopped.
Microphone was never that bad. God darn.
Let's back out.
It wasn't never that bad. It wasn't that bad.
You'll be out of here soon. I know search and rescue and things like that are spinning up right now. We got the police and fire in this building. They told us that they're gonna start going through the city, find out what's open, what's closed in the debris. So we'll start getting all this figured out. Okay, here's I'm not sure about these buildings that are looking at what they are. Looks like a lot of roof buildings. Some of these buildings the roof's been ripped off. Several of these buildings in there. There's people still in the parking lot. What's there? That's the main thing. One out on the side of the building. Where's the tell me, looks like we've got another partial wall facade. It's going to be the outside facade, brick facade that has been sheared off the eastern side of the building. I see what you're talking about. It's going to be the upstairs of this building, the eastern side. That upstairs has been sheared off. That corner, the upper part of that 10-story building over there. It's going to be the eastern upstairs of it. It's been taken, looks like a bunch of the, not close stuff. I'm not sure. I'm seeing, I don't want to speculate what it is. There's something here. I have no idea what it is. But it's looks like a building of some kind, maybe a billboard building, a roof, something. It's like leaning at a 45 angle, and over there something has fallen or collapsed off to my southeast. That building is. Okay, but we're going to be checking it out soon. A lot of the roofs in here have been ripped off. Back up. definitely have storm surge up there. For sure, the water's increased. I can see it from here, but not on my side. On the south bank, I keep having storm surge in my streets here right now. I don't think we're going to. Hurricanes pull away. We got southwest winds. There's other structures that have backs out here. There's like walls and roofs that come off, and we'll figure it out. But the problem is that tower is more of a substantial. I can't get up high enough to assess that situation. It looks like there's Jason. Jason, I got emergency vehicles on these buildings over here, so we must have them. This tower fell into probably a couple multiple buildings over here. All I'm trying to hit the building. The roof is. It looks like the roof has collapsed. On that, it's got to be the south of the tower. Looks like part of that fell into that building, collapsed. It's crushed, and then the tower crumpled and it fell back to the northwest, and it's laying on buildings down the parking lot as well as onto another building here. This is downtown Lake Charles. That's a TV tower that's collapsed. They have called, it's a local television station. Their engineers have called me, and they asked me as soon as I can get over and take some pictures to send them on a phone. They reached out to me and asked if I could take a couple of quick pictures and send it to them. They're trying to assess it and get back on the air on how extensive the damage is, but they'll probably watch the slide feed right now. And but anyway, the tower looks like it broke about midpoint. I'd say major tower collapse downtown. There's lots of damage, folks. I'm just in a very tiny, little 5 block by 6 block area. I've got emergency vehicles now. They're not running hot or anything, but I've got ladder engines coming down, starting to deploy on the streets of downtown Lake Charles. They're starting to go out and assess damage. I'm sure they're trying to figure out what's damaged and where streets need to be cleared, and if people call for help, that they're now able to start run those calls out now because the winds are starting to get under 50 so they can respond to calls. I don't know what those calls are. So far, the cell service is up. Okay. Something pretty crazy has happened just to my southeast here, guys. I don't speculate. I know there's from my building days that don't look right. That building is like at a 45-degree angle. I don't know what that was. I don't know if it's a roof. I don't know if the building collapsed over there. I don't know what it is. We'll check it out here shortly. The wires and the cables off the cell tower here is the ripped off tower. The 4-legged tower, the big tower has stayed. It's just the TV tower has collapsed. That's it. I'll leave this immediate area shortly. There's the tail end of the south end where you're looking. I'm looking to the northwest of the city. This is the south end of the hurricane and the rain. Southwest of me is starting to clear out, no rain. And this is the southeast of the hurricane, and the winds are out in the southwest of about 50 over the city. They're going that direction around the bottom of the hurricane. And the hurricane back in the wall. Police and fire are going to start going out in the city and looking at what's happened and assessing damage. The damage assessment teams are going to be deployed all across Louisiana. I would expect Coast Guard damage assessment teams will also be deployed along the coastline. And those planes will be up shortly, if not already in the air, coming to do flyovers of the damage areas, so if we got search and rescue, those kind of things, so we can figure out this building down. There's still some glass falling from this skyscraper. And what I understand earlier by local authorities here, during the night when the glass started blowing out of this building here, there was either homeless people or somebody. Somewhere in this area, right here, the parking garage, as the wind blew out, the glass shattered and fell down on some ladders in this area, and they were cut pretty severely, and they were triaging the person because the ambulance couldn't respond, so the police and fire that were on the building was across the street. This building triaging the person posted around late around 1:40 or 2 a.m. this morning. After the glass came out of the building, 8 couple people. I can tell you, around here, because that I'm sure there's some residents that are not really yet. Winds are really ripping. Sounds like hearing that. Sounds like air equipment. Okay, police are now leaving our building. Come on, boys. Boys now. If I make switch to step 50 for a little bit longer, I'm gonna look down and start to look for some. Really?
Yeah, they're all that down there.
That's perfect. So, we got a number of people, chasers that debris, not the number of tires, they all the debris all over the city. I know somebody tells me other people out here now about flat tires. That's all the debris they all across the city. It's gonna be a biggest challenge. Yeah, they're not moving. Jeff, where was that other building that collapsed, or the walls collapsed on the side of the building? That could be interesting center or something over here, right?
Yeah, on the front side.
The front side of it, was it the brick veneer?
I don't know.
The front side over here, they said the brick veneer. It's supposed to be on the way on this building. Woo! And it's supposed to straight out. What do you got for look? Downtown, near the hotels, just went to my parking lot.
I'm sorry, y'all. I can't take anymore.
Building.
I can't take anymore. That man ain't show us nothing. Go down there and get in it, sir. Go down there and get in it. Seriously. But he gave me a chance to get ready. So, all right. They say it's fine. They ran everybody away. All right, just as well. Just as well. Yeah, you better change that. Baby, go sit down. I don't want your cat hair on my pants. Go sit down. All right, I'm wearing blue, so I'm gonna get the blue mask. All right. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching, everybody. And as Naya would say, I will see you soon. See y'all in 15, 20 minutes. We'll be live. We're going down to the hood, so hope y'all come with me. Our meds are finally ready, so let's get down there. Oops. I didn't mean to do that. What did I just do?